Some kind of air quotes metabolism boosting fat burning something or other, which
probably just like
I've yet to see the benefits
MCT
of.
oil or something.
I got fucked up on it at work. I'm like super sensitive to caffeine, dude. And this shit's got like 200 milligrams of caffeine in it or something. And I fucking pound like 3/4 of it, and I'm like seeing through time and space, fucking shaking and stuff. I ended up kind of flipping out on a friend of mine.
Why are you standing behind me?
Yeah, it's just liquid cocaine, dude. So I don't know.
It's caffeine is abused in the industry. I work in the tech industry.
So
it's just. I mean, I used to work at a startup on East Beltline.
Oh, okay.
And we'd all get together in the morning, just pouring coffee, filling each other's cups while we're talking to each other, just cup after cup
Triple
after
shots
cup.
and shit.
You start shaking. And you're like, oh, go home. Can't be like having episodes here. Get out of here.
Are you doing code and shit, like those big code benders and stuff, man?
I love coders. They keep everything moving, but I don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to college. When I first went to college, I wanted to be an architect because my dad's dad was an architect.
Yeah.
I always thought it was super cool. Like when I was 5 years old, I used to draw a house.
Me too.
diagrams.
So did I. There was a time too. Same. Yeah. When I was.
I don't know, something about it, like bringing a family together, but also like I was obsessed with like the Brady Bunch home.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Even though I hated the show,
Yeah.
I just loved the home because an architectural guy designed it. It's like I could design my own home one day.
Yeah, we had graph paper and like we had like magazines. It was like Better Home and Garden and shit at that time, but they had like house plans in those magazines and shit. We used to fucking be all over that shit when I was 8, whatever.
I remember they used to have the computer graphics ones where you could set the room up, put couches in.
Yeah, dude.
Back
We had
before
all
the
that
Sims.
shit. Yeah, early fucking computer-aided shit. Yeah.
What's the dude that he was like a super famous architect? I want to
Frank Lloyd
say
Wright.
Frank Lloyd Wright. Yeah, there's a Frank Lloyd Wright house down in the Kalamazoo area, and there's one of those bad boys.
There's
down
like
there.
4 of them here in Grand Rapids.
There's one you can do in kind of in the hills.
Yeah.
And they do a full tour like multiple times a day.
Oh, nice.
And it's one of the really nice ones where everything's still up to date.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Like I didn't know. Also, they teach you when you go upstairs that the hanger was invented in Grand Rapids.
The hanger.
The clothing hanger was invented in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Well, okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Grand Rapids is all furniture and
It
shit,
was during
right?
the furniture time.
Oh, yeah.
So
Textiles and shit.
I can't remember the exact reason why, but the first hanger was ever done in Grand Rapids.
And shortly after the first backroom abortion was performed. Had to go there. Sorry. Have you ever been to or heard of this thing called House on the Rock in Wisconsin?
No.
Okay, so Frank Lloyd Wright was from those parts around there somewhere, and there's a whole tour you can do. Like it's like a tour thing where you go like you got to drive around and see these, but there's like a marked tour that you can do. Okay, there's this tourist attraction called the House on the Rock, and it's like this crazy. I don't even know that it's Frank Lloyd Wright, but it's like this crazy house that's just like. It's hard to even fucking explain, but it's like it's up on this mountain and it's all these little rooms and everything's like it's almost like a fucking hobbit hole of some sort, dude. It's fucking crazy. But then the rest of the grounds is like this museum, and it's like this funhouse museum of do you know what Rube Goldberg machines are?
Oh yeah.
It's fucking this. Again, like I can't even explain it. I walked around this fucking thing. I was like, this is going to be so dumb. We're going to this thing. I'm like, I can't believe we're going to this. This is going to be dumb as fuck. I spent 5 hours walking through this place with my eyes all the way open. Just fucking, I was baked out of my gourd. I'm fucking walking around just going, oh my God. Like, it's like whole symphonies of robot, like Rube Goldberg machines playing like, but anyway, it's all like tied into Frank Lloyd Wright and all this fucking shit. But dude, you gotta go there. I tell everybody, I'm like, I can't believe you've never heard of this place because I'd never heard of it. Like, how is this not a bigger place?
The wide-eyed wonder in your voice as you describe this, and you really see yourself lighting up over here.
Like it's a whole carousel that's in there, and it's like. It's literally like you're in a room and the entire room is the instrument and it's like playing like tubas and shit above you, and it's like something out of fucking Willy Wonka or fucking Dr. Seuss or some shit. Like it's all like pipes that wrap up around and the shit's playing and you're it's fucking out of control, dude. It's out of control.
Some amazing places out there.
I'm telling you, bro. Put that mic right up to you. Get right on that. take it all the way in, bro. You can pull it up.
Yeah, let me play with it.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and play with it a little bit. Usually if you play with it a little bit before you put it in your mouth. So Brian brought in his fucking new guitar.
Yeah, Noodlein, right?
So what's the deal with it? You just like somebody selling it, or you buy it new, or where'd that fucker come from?
Well, I've kind of had this recent obsession where, I've always been this guy that has loved metal, but I can never play it.
Yeah.
So it's always unattainable. But I've been on this recent obsession with the Swedish chainsaw tone.
Okay.
So I started watching these videos online about the chainsaw tone and what it is and how you make it. And a lot of the death metal bands run for this chainsaw tone, this type of guitar tone.
Gotcha.
So I've been buying these pedals, and most of it is designed off running the Boss HM2, that black one with the orange buttons, cranking everything to full, and then putting it into your amp. And then in an already overdriven or distorted amp. So you just get these ridiculous guitar things, but you have to use noise gates, which is mandatory. So I'm buying all these pedals, and as I keep going down the rabbit hole, I'm seeing more of these bands, and I'm like, oh, Meshuggah, this is interesting. And like I don't know any of these.
You didn't
bands.
know Meshuggah?
No.
Oh shit, son!
I never even paid attention to them until just recently.
I've seen those guys live like 6 times.
I'm definitely getting into that, and I'm seeing all the kind of the rise in the popularity of the gent music.
Yeah, well, Meshuggah is the godfathers of all that. Everything, all those Periphery and everybody's all just Meshuggah was the guys. Yeah. So
I've got all these pedals, and as I've gone down that black hole, I've realized, no, I need to drop tune now. No, actually, I need to drop tune to the 7-string. No, I need to drop tune to the 8-string. So I think I've finally hit the point where I have enough distortion where I can't take any more. The strings are fat enough where I can't play them anymore. And it's just the heaviest, almost disgusting tone where it's like, what would I even do with this?
You play gent metals.
I guess. But then again, I can't play metal at all.
No, see, that's where you're wrong, dude. It's all about playing that kind of metal is way more about the rhythm than the notes in a lot of ways. And then and it sounds more complicated than it is sometimes because the drums are so fucking crazy and shit, you know? So you can play metal. It's I don't know.
When it comes to chainsaw-related music, don't sleep on Jackal, baby. It begins and ends with Jackal.
Do you know
chainsaw?
Do you know Jackal?
Oh, yeah,
no.
baby.
He played an actual chainsaw.
Oh my God. Okay.
My brother's band opened for Jackal at the Blue Note in Muskegon.
All right.
That's a nice feather to have in the cap, to be sure, dude.
Yeah,
it just reminds me of Army of Darkness, you know.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's been another one of my recent obsessions, is going back and watching all these old sci-fi and horror movies.
Yeah.
I just, the new stuff that comes out these days, I mean, I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. Christopher Nolan, an actual historic themed one. I'll probably enjoy that, but
we got our tickets. I got more on that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, I'll just go into it. I want to talk about sci-fi and shit, but it just was in the news today. Are you up on how there's these fucking IMAX runs of Oppenheimer, and they're this new IMAX, and there's only 19 of them in the country.
50 millimeter or 70 millimeter.
Yeah, it's like 70 millimeter or some shit.
Yeah.
And these prints of it are they're like 700 pounds, and they're like 8 feet across, and they're just ridiculous, right? It's 11 miles of film. And so Grand Rapids has one of them, so it's super hard to get tickets. So we scored tickets to it on a upcoming, I think it's maybe even this next Monday it's supposed to be. Comes out in the news this morning. Last night, the film skipped in the projector and fucking perforated a bunch of the film and fucked it all up.
Oh no.
So it was a big deal. Everybody was super pissed obviously when it happened and stuff, but they're saying they can repair it and all this shit, but we're like, fuck, we bought these special tickets to go see it and all this shit. So
yeah, it's too bad. No, a friend of mine was trying to get me to go to it, and I just looked a couple days ago, and I'm like, well, about 2 weeks from now, I could go at 9:30 in the morning on a Tuesday.
Right, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
sit in the front row on the left side. I think I'll just wait.
People are driving 8 hours to Grand Rapids to see it and shit because there's only there's 150 IMAXs in the U.S. and there's only 19 of them that have this one thing, and GR is one of them.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something I want to check out. I mean, they did Tarantino's Hateful Eight also released in this I forgot what they called it. It's this crazy ultra wide where it's just this long wide bar.
Yeah.
And they only did it for a number of years in the last century, but it was a limited run where you can only do it in certain places, and no one's ever going to see it again like that.
I gotta say,
that's fair because I hate that movie.
Yeah, dude, that's easily my least favorite.
One of the only Tarantino movies where I'm like that was I didn't even finish it.
Oh,
didn't even finish it.
I've seen it multiple times.
You like it?
Love it.
See, I think maybe that's where I went wrong is I didn't finish it because I think maybe like I kind of might have duffed it by not finishing it, so I didn't really get the whole thing. But
no, it's the right move.
Yeah,
that was the
indeed.
move.
I was like, this is awful.
It's not like his other movies. If you like the movie Clue and these kind of cheesy, slow mystery movies, it's great. But
okay.
I can see why it's not for everyone. But
it was one Tim Curry short.
Yeah,
of being
maybe. If it had Tim Curry, it'd have been all right. So, are you watching any of the new Army of Darkness shit? And there's all this. There's new Evil Dead. There's new fucking Ash shit. There's so much of this shit.
Yeah, there's a lot. The new Evil Dead, the TV show, I forgot the name of it. Ash versus Evil Dead. Or something. That was pretty good actually.
Yeah.
Because you really get all that Bruce Campbell goodness.
Yeah, it's still Bruce Campbell, so you can't
he's
go
just
wrong.
over the top. I love it.
He's the man.
I've seen some of the newer stuff, but I'm a little bit more of a sci-fi than a horror guy to really enjoy it. Whereas for me, the Evil Dead is more about Sam Rami and being, a Michigan native who went from just a nobody filmmaker.
Is he? I didn't know that.
Or not? I don't know if he's a Michigan native or he went to college at Michigan State University.
Okay.
And then he filmed the first Evil Dead in Michigan.
Oh.
So
I didn't know that either. I thought that was done in Canada for some reason.
I thought it was in Michigan.
I don't know. I don't know. You probably.
I'm pretty sure it was in Michigan, but I could be wrong. He definitely went to Michigan State University.
He's never actually been to Michigan. He's just talking shit. It's like that was done in Northern California. I don't know what you're talking about.
But he's always been a real unique director, and his trajectory of his career has always been really weird. And doing the Spider-Man movies and having his brother in the films, it's just kind of a cool thing. I've always just followed him and what he's done.
Wait, who's his brother? I don't know.
Ted, maybe. His brother's in every one of his movies. I'd have to pull him up and see a picture of him. He's in the Spider-Man movie. He's Jonas Jameson's assistant.
Oh, that's hilarious. I had no idea.
Glasses,
right.
He's like a guy that's in like all these movies
that's
just
funny.
for a minute.
Yeah, it's like Ron Howard's brother too.
Yeah, that type of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you watching in the sci-fi world then? If that's more your thing, you said you're going back.
Yeah,
watching the vintage shit.
I watched actually for the first time ever. I watched The Abyss.
Oh yeah.
Which I always told myself, I already saw that growing up. I hated it. I thought it was The Sphere with Samuel L. Jackson, which I saw as a kid and I hated it. And,
not the same movie.
And then I went back and I watched The Abyss, and I watched the special edition that has the real ending. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
The real ending is there's this wall of water, this like 500,000 foot tidal wave that rolls up on every shore in every major city, and it just stops there.
Oh.
And then the aliens tell Ed Harris, whatever his character is, they go, we could pretty much destroy all of you, but we're not going to. We're going to give you a second chance.
It's a real power move on their part.
They couldn't get it put in the movie because of the special effects and everything, but that's the real ending.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be test audiences hated it because it was too dark. That happens a lot at the end of movies, which I could see that too. The Abyss is a fucking great movie, though.
Oh, I watched on YouTube some of these kind of making of the story of behind the movie, and it was supposedly one of the worst movies to ever make because they made it in this tank.
Brutal.
Everything's shot underwater.
Yep.
Ed Harris does at one point in the movie has to fill his kind of like spaceman thing full of water and then go in the water.
Yeah.
He did that in real life.
Yeah.
He filled his mask with fluid, and then went in the water. Oof. And one of the scenes, they couldn't get it off him enough. He almost died. Oof. And when he got out, he punched James Cameron in the face, drove home, and said he cried in his driveway for an hour. And it was just because it was like one of the most brutal movies.
This one's for Avatar 2.
But it's even going back and watch it, some of the graphics are kind of off, but seeing all the real shots of people in real water, all the practical effects, and it's like, God, CGI, it's just too much, and you see this practical stuff, and it's better. It holds up better. It's a better
CGI,
story.
the fucking water, that pillar of water that comes through the thing, and then it becomes a face at the end of it and stuff. But that shit was, state of the art then. And and you can see the similarities of that and what he was doing in Terminator too. They're very similar.
They use the same program for the T-1000 or whatever
100%, right? Yeah, great movie though. But honestly, Sphere is not really a bad movie either. It's all right. It's of a different time. It's different. It's Samuel Jackson. So you got that. Right, that's the right movie, right? It's L. Jackson.
I'm a huge Sphere
Dustin
guy. I was
Hoffman.
gonna say we got to get back to the hatred of Sphere, but it's also
Sphere's a decent movie.
Sam Neill, I want to say, is in Sphere.
No,
maybe?
Sam Neill is in Event Horizon.
Correct, but isn't he in Sphere too? Maybe not.
He's in some other weird movies.
No, like Sphere and Event Horizon are like the same plot. Basically, except for Sphere's underwater and Event Horizon's in space and involves
Liev Schreiber is also in Sphere.
There you go. Yeah.
And then who's the chick in that? There's a super. I keep wanting to say Sharon Stone, which is definitely not her.
Is Queen Latifah in Sphere, or is that a different movie?
No, it's been too long. I got to go back and watch it. Maybe
there's another movie where they're underwater and they're in some kind of fucking Sequest underwater base, and it's Queen Latifah. Oh no, it's Queen Latifah and LL Cool J.
That's Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue,
that's the one where the shark comes out.
Yes, the sharks. Yes.
And Samuel L. Jackson's "This motherfucker." The shark comes up and eats him.
It's
Deep Blue Sea rules. It's an all-time
indeed.
terrible flick, but it kicks a lot of ass. It's great.
The Thing, the John Carpenter movie. I've been obsessing over that.
Yeah,
Thing's an amazing.
And then
I don't love it. It's all right.
I love it just because it's one of those slow
it
psychological
is.
burns. It's a lot like Hateful Eight in that sense of it's not a lot of action. It's a lot of slow. What's going on?
It's one of those movies where I didn't see it at all growing up. I watched it much later as an adult, so I didn't have any kind of nostalgia factor to fall back on. And I don't hate it. It's good, But they did a remake of that too in 2018 or something like that. So
and so the remake is basically the Norwegians or whatever that originally in the very beginning of the movie there's this Norwegian shooting a gun at the dog.
Okay.
So they basically do the backstory of that. So it's not really a remake.
It's a
actually
prequel or something or whatever.
So in my opinion, they did the right thing. They didn't mess with the original.
Okay.
Tried to add to
I
it.
thought, man, I could have swore they redid the thing too. So maybe they did, or maybe I'm up my ass on that. But
I think that one they called The Thing. I think that's a lot of people thought it was a remake, but there's so many of these that they redo. It's hard to keep track of it all.
For sure, 100%.
The original, the new Things show is, but it's no original, man. That original thing is fucking.
Well, that's practical effects too.
Just crazy.
Wow. I'm not a big what is his name? Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
he was on Kurt Russell, I guess, because he's the star of the Hateful Eight as well, right?
He's Point Break. I mean,
No, wait, he's not
Roadhouse.
Point Break.
No,
that's
Patrick
Swayze.
It's literally the same guy, dude. Russell and Swayze at 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Escape from L.A. and Escape from New York. Escape from New York was first, right? That was the original.
Yep. But speaking of John Carpenter movies, there is a movie I watched for the first time. I've seen it in internet memes over the last few years. And I'm like, I just got to watch this movie. And I've seen the famous clip of the fighting scene before, but I never sat and actually watched the movie. And it totally blew my mind. It's called They Live.
Yeah.
And it's a John Carpenter movie. And it's about just this no-name nobody who's in L.A., who's kind of homeless looking for work. And he finds this weird group of cult people, and he finds these sunglasses and he puts them on, and then all of the advertisements turn into subliminal messages that say obey, reproduce, and it's just, and it goes through, and there's aliens taking over, kind of subjugating the population. So you watch it and it's this is every conspiracy theory ever.
It really is.
And it's just, but it's so good because it's even more relevant today as far as kind of how the propaganda of commercialism works, and the kind of one Coca-Cola ad isn't going to get you to buy it. The 1,000 you watch over your lifetime will, because it kind of just gets back in there. I mean, everyone watch all the the marketing TV show for the HBO one or Showtime, I can't remember, with
Mad Men.
The advertisers, and they were good back then.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been 60
years.
They
were making it up,
and now they use AI.
Yeah,
they're getting real good. Where a lot of the advertisements you see, you don't even know if they're advertisements anymore.
Yeah, true that.
I got a mental pop-up blocker for all advertising now, and I'm unpersuaded by any of this stuff.
I have a burning hatred for advertisements. It's just
Quick aside here: Sharon Stone and Queen Latifah both in Sphere, so double win on that.
See,
there you go.
See, I know my terrible underwater sci-fi movies from the '90s. Sphere, I believe, is a Michael Crichton story.
It is indeed, and it's a choice.
But yep. which is pretty decent. I thought the ending was pretty good and shit, but yeah, it's kind of the same movie as fucking what was the one I was saying? The one with Sam Neill in space. Event Horizon. You know Event Horizon? That's the one you need to watch, dude, if you haven't seen Event Horizon. Yeah, when that
came out, I was probably about 9-10 years old. Yeah. And my dad, it was boys' night. My mom, my sister were out of town. Me and my 2 younger brothers. My dad's like, you guys like Star Wars? I saw this show on this. Hey, it's got the guy from Jurassic Park. It's got spaceships. Come on. I remember being like the first time as a little kid, got up and I stood up halfway through the movie, walked into the bathroom, threw water on my face, took a deep breath. I'm like 10 years old and I did this and I went and sat back down and my face is white. I look at my brothers, their faces are all white and my dad's sweating. He's like, I want to finish this, but this is kind of traumatizing the kids.
I can't handle it. Too much Larry Fishburne.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was for years I couldn't watch that movie.
Yeah. It was ahead of its time. It really was. And it also, talking about marketing, is that they marketed it as like it's a sci-fi movie. And it kind of is or whatever, but it's really a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's this ship goes to fucking hell or whatever, the demons. And I mean, it's fucking wild. Apparently, there is a director's cut of that as well that's never seen the light of day or something, or they put it back together or something, or it might even be that there was a director's cut and it's lost or something, but apparently it was like even way more intense and they had to fucking cut it down or whatever. So that dude, I think that's, you're gonna have to look this up, Jamie. Fucking is that Paul?
I was going to look it up until that.
After that,
now you can go fuck yourself, bro. Now you can grab Siri and fend for yourself. Relegating me to Jamie status, you motherfucker.
I'm pretty sure it's Paul W.S. Anderson, or he made like all the Alien vs. Predator shit and all that stuff, right? You know?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, indeed.
Boys' movie nights back in the day when mom's out and it's just dad and the boys, dude. It's nothing better, dude.
It was awesome.
Yeah. We're gonna throw in some blood sport tonight and just get after it with Van Damme here.
I told the story a couple weeks ago on here, but mine was From Dusk Till Dawn. Speaking of Quentin Tarantino, and my dad and our neighbor rented it, but my mom and his wife were there too, and like they had no idea. Nobody had any idea. That movie, you know, like it takes that fucking twist in the middle.
That's
and
an uncomfortable watch for the family.
100%, dude. My brother and I are like fucking whatever, 12 and 8 or whatever, you know, and we're just like, oh my god. And I mean, Selma Hayek's fucking doing that strip tease, and then it's just titties everywhere and vampires. And like my dad and his friend are like high-fiving, basically going, yeah. And my mom's just fucking mortified and shit.
A young chubbed up Ross grabbing the closest magazine 100%. Here. Huh?
The funniest shit about that, and we probably said this then too, is Quentin Tarantino with his foot fetish writing himself that scene where the fucking Selma Hayek dumps that liquor down her leg onto her feet and he gets the sucker toes or whatever.
You had to put it in.
It's well for the movie. You sick fuck.
It's a crucial piece of the flick, okay?
No, my character is a sick bastard.
Yeah,
my character is the sick one. How does he get away with though? How does Tarantino get away with like Django Unchained? Great movie, but the amount of vulgarity and offensive nature in that when you really sit back.
He's grandfathered in, but it's also that good. I think when you get to a point when it's that good that it's just like, fuck, it's too good.
It's the South Park equation.
Yeah,
it's like, as long as you're crushing it, you're going to continue to get to do whatever the fuck you want. You're an institution at that point. It's fucking dominant. Everybody loves it. They're turning a blind eye.
Yeah, they have that. South Park somehow still has that pass.
They really do.
I thought Django was a great flick, and a ton of people didn't really like it.
I kind of hate on Django too. I
thought it was badass, man.
That's one of my least favorite Tarantino movies. I really didn't like it. There was a couple of like just ridiculous plot holes that were just like, this makes no sense, and like, I don't know. There was some shit. This is fucking nerdy as fuck. That were like some of the sets. I was like, did they finish this set? Like, it looked like weird. I don't know. Like, I did not love that movie. I've only seen it that one time. So Christoph Waltz is fucking great, you know, but
it's kind of a cute movie when you really put it down to it. It's
right.
like a little love story, and it's and it's hard. It's kind of a simple story. Oh, this guy speaks German, and he happens to meet this woman who speaks German, so he has this really weird connection to these two couple, and so it's kind of cute, but at the same time, like, I had a problem with the ending where just the blood packets, like when they're doing the shootout, like every bullet that hits someone, it's like a whole watermelon exploding of blood. Which is like, there's so much blood. This isn't even close to being realistic.
Well, that's what Tarantino does too.
You know, Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Well, it's never that bad. I mean, when he started with Reservoir Dogs, that was like hyper realistic.
Yeah.
Like too realistic. That's why it sold. And now here we are where he did Kill Bill, and then he's like, okay, everything from now on is going to be an explosion of blood.
Indeed. Yeah.
It was a glorious decision on his part. Let's not kid ourselves here. You got to have it.
I mean, he should be making all the comic book movies. But
he tried to make Star Trek. We talked about this on here. He wrote a Star Trek for the new Star Trek franchise or whatever, and was trying to make it, and they fucking shut him down on it. But I'm like, that's the movie I want to see. I want to see Samuel L. Jackson running a fucking starship, you know.
An R-rated, just wildly over the top Star Trek would be incredible.
For real.
Tarantino almost signed on to do a James Bond movie.
Really?
Yeah. So before the Daniel Craig one started, the studio went to him and they wanted to do a Tarantino Bond movie
with Brosnan and the Brosnan era.
No, they didn't have a Bond picked out. They
it would have been right.
Okay. But
really,
I can't even imagine. What
Me either. Like. I love James Bond. I'm a huge James Bond fan. I got a lot of issues with the Daniel Craig franchise as well. But
I mean, Casino Royale was
one of the best Bond movies ever made.
And after that, it's Casino Royale. Bond smiles all the time. He's having fun. And every other Daniel Craig movie, he doesn't smile.
Yeah.
And it's just like, come on, Bond. Like Bond's badass. Yeah, he kicks some dick, but he has fun doing it.
Yeah.
But he looks good doing it, and he has fun. He doesn't just drive a fast car because it's fast. He does it because it's cool.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, Craig's kind of a bitch-made Bond. You know, he's falling for the love interest a little bit too much. Getting a little too emotionally
invested. Especially in the last
dude.
movie, dude. He's driving around with his wife and kid and shit. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
It's not Bond.
Fucking not Bond bit.
If it ain't hit it, then quit it. It ain't Bond. You get right down to it.
What was the second one? It was like Quantum of
Solace, yeah.
So, you know, like Casino Royale was the only Bond book that had never been made into a movie. And they followed the book pretty fucking close. I've read all. They're sitting right there.
That was the first book too, wasn't it?
It was the first one. Yes. And they actually followed it pretty close, all things considered. You know, and so it's fucking great. Quantum of Solace is a short story, but they did not use any of the short story. I think they just like took the name of it, and you know, which is they were doing that back in fucking the other days too. But that to me was the worst Bond movie ever made. It was like almost unwatchable, and part of it was there was a writer's strike, just like what's going on now, going on then. And Daniel Craig and a couple of the producers like finished writing the script or like rewrote it or something. But Jesus Christ, that movie was fucking god awful, just awful, unwatchable. You heard it here.
Yeah, I mean, isn't James Bond kind of awful?
It was awful and great.
I mean, just as a human being, though, he kills with impunity.
No, not impunity. License.
I know he has a license, but like, I know he has a license to kill, but he's often just shooting people with no real reason to shoot them.
What would you do if you had a license to kill?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd apply for that license, though. That's the thing. I have a hard time killing a sick chicken that I own, so.
Well, that's true. But if you got a 7-foot dude with fucking a metal jaws in his teeth, dude, I mean, what are you gonna do? You know?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna bite and scratch a little. Yeah.
His name is Jaws. He kills people. Like, I got love for all eras of Bond. You know, like the cheese of fucking Roger Moore. You know, like it's fucking great. But like you're saying, here's what else I saw happen: is the success of The Dark Knight. The Batman movie, which we've talked about extensively on here, had a huge influence on movies. And they kind of decided that they needed to go in this ultra gritty, darker tone with Bond after that, because The Dark Knight was so huge. And that's when they fucking made, I don't even remember all the names of them, but it's the one where Judi Dench dies. Yeah, anyway, it was like the third one of the Craig movies or whatever, and Skyfall, I think. And I don't know, that Skyfall was okay. The newest one was just awful. And spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but first of all, the villain does nothing. Rami Malek or whatever, who's good. I like that dude, you know. He doesn't do shit. He's supposed to be like Dr. No, kinda, but he's not Dr. No. But he's making poison out of plants on his private island. Are you Dr. No or not? And fucking, then, you know, spoiler alert. Have you seen it?
Many moons ago, yeah, back in the day.
Well, they kill James Bond at the fucking end. He dies. What is this? What are we doing here with this? Like, how are we gonna? What, we're gonna reboot it again?
It's the Game of Thrones effect, where we have to subvert expectations.
Indeed,
it stinks.
Weak sauce.
It
dude.
stinks so hard. That
no
movie
hero's
sucked,
journey.
Right. Yeah.
No coming home ever.
And yeah, again, he's like driving around like, I gotta like, I'm a family man now and stuff. Like, what? This is awful. And going back to the other ones, so all the shit with Blofeld, his arch nemesis, they're like, it's his stepbrother somehow or something is the plot. You remember this shit? Christoph Waltz is Blofeld. Kind of a great casting of Blofeld. I'll allow that. But like, the fucking plots of this shit was just like preposterous, and he like goes back home to his family mansion and has to defend it with his butler, and fucking the butler was supposed to be Sean Connery, but Sean Connery was like, no, I'm not doing this. And so they hired some other dude, and it was just bad. It's just bad across the board. The Craig movies stink.
Should have got Michael Caine. Michael Caine sets the bar for superhero movie.
There you go.
Butlers.
There you go.
At least that wave is over, and we get to see what's next.
I know. Hopefully it doesn't, like, they don't go fucking too, I don't know. There's all this talk about fucking, you know, we'll make James Bond a woman and stuff, and it's like,
they're gonna go so off board with it. 100%.
That's the thing I have an issue with.
We're gonna go this woke on it. Like, come on, guys. It's okay.
They were passing Idris Elba around. I really like him. He's awesome.
He's great.
He's like a real. He can actually fight UFC.
Yeah.
And he was like a bouncer for like 15 years before he like made it into it. So he's like an actual like built tough guy, and you know, and him on The Wire, The
Wire is amazing. He's amazing in that.
He could pull it off, but
he could. But well, the thing is now, it's not so much that they were talking about it; it's the internet was talking about it.
Right. Yeah.
But he's unfortunately, and I wouldn't even mind that so bad. He is English. He's just too fucking old. He's too old to start a Bond franchise. Idris Elba's in his 50s or something.
Okay.
Now. Like,
I'm with you on that.
You know, like you can't start a Bond franchise as somebody that age. Like, it takes 5-6 years to make a Bond movie. Like, they are out of control production and shit. Like,
can't even think of a good Bond.
No, well, that's the thing is most Bonds too, besides Roger Moore, who was the Saint, which was another, which they remade the Saint movie starring Val Kilmer. Get fucking deep here, boys. So he was kind of a known actor, and it was playing a spy. The Saint's a spy thing. Besides that, most of these guys were relatively unknown. I mean, like Daniel Craig, he was in a few things. He was in Road to Perdition with Tom Hanks. Shot here in Michigan, by the way.
Southwest Michigan.
Yeah, on the beach here, because it's a Chicago movie, and they come up to the beach in Lake Michigan. But it's like he didn't really he wasn't like a big star or nothing. You know, Timothy Dalton was like a big stage actor. He still is, I think, for that matter, doing Shakespeare and shit. Sean Connery got famous doing James Bond. You know, he was in a ton of movies back then. But so,
do you ever see that Layer Cake flick with Daniel Craig back in the day?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, watch some Layer Cake. It shows.
Yeah, and I like Daniel Craig a lot. Like he's fucking good in everything. The new franchise he's doing, where he's the detective, the gay detective guy.
So that's the Glass Onion was the movie.
There's another one too.
There's a few others. The first
one out, right?
The first one,
the
first one I didn't really like, but the Glass Onion was so cheesy and over the top.
Right.
Okay, I can get into this. And they had Dave Bautista playing the men's rights activist. And I'm like, This is so over the top. This is okay. It's over the top. I get it. All right, I'm in this. Let's go.
They're like Agatha Christie stories, basically. That's kind of what that is.
I will say on the Bond stuff, though, this series that actually felt like they kind of picked up the Bond for me, maybe a little immature, but really hitting that spot for me is the Kingsman series. I really enjoyed them.
Michael Caine.
They're a little cheesy, but
I've heard great things about it. And they're super violent too. Or like I had in my head
violent.
It was a kids movie, but I think it's pretty
fighty,
rated R,
like
bloody.
I don't know if it's bloody. Maybe it's
not too bloody.
They're like
not really.
fighty. You know, like action fight. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
they
kung
run down a
fu,
hallway
like,
and they kill 50 guys, but they just fly on the ground. It's not like Tarantino where it's splatting everywhere.
which it should be. I'm pretty sure I saw the first one of those, but now they've went back and like they're like younger, or they did the story of, I think it's Michael Caine's character.
They did the
right?
first
like,
Kingsman, then they did like the Golden Circle, and then they did one where they went back to the original guy.
Yeah,
because like the main character is this young kid named Exy who has like a backwards hat and dresses kind of like this street punk, and then he brings him into this kind of gentleman's thing and teaches him how to dress and how to act. And,
right, I did see that. Yeah,
in the first one, it was Sam Jackson's playing the main bad guy.
Oh, okay.
Which is very much like if Elon Musk was this big evil scientist, it would be like him, Sam Jackson, in the movie, where he basically puts these like chips in everyone.
Oh, okay.
And then flips a switch and he's going to blow the whole planet up. So
makes sense.
You know,
generally more Samuel L. in movies is a good thing for the most part.
You can't kind of go wrong when it's fucking Samuel L. Jackson. So fucking last week we had had a guy booked on the podcast. And he fucking no-showed on us, just fucking ghosted us, which is fucking weak. So if you're listening, pal, fucking weak, bro.
Weak sauce to be
weak
sure.
as hell. And
on the plus side, it did lead to a glorious viewing of Jackie Brown.
Yeah, so we fucking we were like, well, we could just do it. We were like, we'll just do a fucking just a 2-man. I was like. And we were like,
oh, we're gonna just get high and watch
let's
Jackie
just get
Brown.
fucked up and watch Jackie Brown, like, which is like kind of my favorite Tarantino movie, and I think one of yours, or I don't know,
top 2 to be sure.
Yeah,
by far my least favorite.
Really?
It's boring. Almost nothing happens.
You're losing your Tarantino cred right now.
Finally, when
everything happens, L. Jackson happens, bro.
The guy gets pissed off in the parking lot and kills the girl. Like, I get it. I've been in a hot parking lot, wanted to shoot someone too, but it's very anticlimactic to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of comedy in that movie. There's a lot of like funny lines. That movie's very dialogue. You're right. It's not a lot of action. It's a very dialogue oriented.
I would say in a lot of ways it's almost less dialogue than a lot of Tarantino. It's more like quick one-liners as opposed to the big protracted conversations that, like the super intricately written.
Well, it's the only Tarantino movie that's based on something else that he didn't write the original script for or whatever. It's based on a book by, is it Elmore James, something like that? Guy who wrote a ton of pulp fiction. Wrote a ton of pulp fiction novels. Like, he's one of those guys like Louis L'Amour or whatever that wrote like 1 billion paperbacks, and it's based off of some book called Rum Punch. But he took the main character or something and made her, a middle-aged black woman. Basically, was the big change. Called Jackie Brown.
Wasn't Jackie Brown the actress who plays Jackie Brown in the movie?
Pam
wasn't she in like a 70s TV series where she did
was
something
in
similar?
Many 70s movies.
Yeah.
She was a 70s. There's a subgenre of film called blaxploitation or blaxploitation or whatever, which is there's all these fucking movies. There's tons of them. Pam Grier was in tons of them. Always is the sexy whatever And so bringing her back because he was a huge fan of all those movies,
He would be.
Yeah. Well, that's like Grindhouse. It's like a similar kind of shit to all that. But
that was such a great experience when that Grindhouse came out
in
the theater. Everyone was having fun.
Yeah.
I remember in between the two movies, they had like the commercials for the
trailers,
movies.
the fake trailers.
People were going nuts in the theater.
Yeah.
People were hooping and hollering.
Yeah.
Machete, and then they turned it into a movie years later.
The fucking trailer is so good.
Yeah.
They're so good.
Well, it's like a 7-hour experience, and then you get the legit intermission. You re-up on the popcorn, take a piss, and then you're right back in there. God damn, that was great.
The fake trailers were far better than the actual movies.
Yeah.
They were so awesome. There's a Rob Zombie one. There's a fucking Eli Roth made one of those, and then Machete was Robert Rodriguez, of course. And I can't even remember what some there. I think there's 2 or 3 more. But
Eli Roth is all over that Idol show with your boy and Mr. Tesfaye Abel, by the way. Dude, all kinds of Eli Roth.
That's interesting.
He's glorious.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to watch that show. The new show on HBO, it's a new series starring The Weeknd and Johnny Depp's daughter. Yeah.
Not sounding very tasty right now.
Yeah. It's pretty out there. Yeah, I've had better.
Yeah, I'm probably going to skip that one. There's too much shit to watch, man.
I'm just watching
gonna rewatch
Always Sunny right now. I love Always Sunny. Obsessed with it.
I'm like many seasons behind. I think I kind of bailed like
maybe not that huge of a fan.
season 8. No, I loved it back in the day.
I feel like I'm
We're
the
all
only
about
one that's up to date.
I heard that it's really back on top now because I feel like it was kind of going through a lull. It was getting a little bit over the top. But
There's a couple
I heard
years,
very
last
good
couple
things.
years, where they actually kind of backed off because they were a little afraid of pushing some things too hard.
Yeah,
so they actually
didn't
kind
want
of
to get canceled.
Well, I don't want to say they neutered themselves. They just kind of shifted a little, and it wasn't quite it. And now they're going, okay, we got to go get back to that early season 3 ridiculousness, and they're starting to treat the characters more like continuation, more like cartoons in the sense where they're being less realistic and less serialized, because we're TV shows are over serialized, where it's like, oh, did you watch the whole season of this show?
Right.
Yeah, I watched 12 seasons in a row. Oh, 12 seasons right in a row is great. It's like, what happened to those old days, the happy days times when you could just sit down, watch a TV show, and you didn't have to know what happened in all the other shows?
It rebooted every single episode.
So the Always Sunny is back to being more episodic, where it's more contained and more just ridiculous.
You gotta love that, because the fear and panic of missing like one episode and then you're all fucking out of the loop.
Now you don't watch any of them.
And then you're like, why is this guy angry? And everyone's like, shut up. No, but yeah, Always Sunny's great. Like, I think in the first episode, a little bit of a spoiler, but the first episode, Frank is like rummaging around looking for something, and he finds a toilet in Charlie's closet. So, you have a toilet in here? We've been shitting down the hall the whole time for no reason. He's like, well, yeah, man, I don't want to, it's not a great toilet. It runs, and then he finds out that behind Charlie's cooking station, there's a whole nother bedroom behind Charlie's room. It's like, there's a whole nother bedroom here. It's like, well, yeah, man, I don't want to be walking all over the place. It's too much room. And it's just, it opens with that. And it's just like, oh my God. So you're telling me on the 16th year of this show, we find out he had a bedroom behind his whole apartment. He wasn't living in a one bedroom this whole time. He's it's like kind of like elevated ridiculousness and the callback, some of that callback stuff. But
it's kind of sneaky great dialogue in that show always. Like, it was always pretty well written, I thought. For as ridiculous as it was okay, it's pretty pretty smart at the same time.
It gets a little shouty. That's probably the problem with it, is they get a little where they're just yelling at each other too much, but it's also kind of funny. But it's just, it's kind of that humor of just these terrible human beings being terrible to each other.
Yeah.
And probably the best part of the show is Rickety Cricket, watching him go from a priest to every time he interacts with them, like he slowly becomes a crackhead, and then he goes to the point where like he's just a prostitute on the street, he's missing teeth, and it's just every season he just degenerates further, and it's just a beautiful thing.
It's great.
That's hilarious, man. That's definitely the kind of show you want. And those fucking guys is making that show and like getting picked up on FX, and like these guys out of nowhere, and then fucking like
just out of nowhere. They did, because I remember watching the pilot for it. They just did this little pilot show. It's real cool. They actually do a podcast now.
Oh,
where they kind of go back. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
It's not like this podcast good, but it's
right.
I said pretty good, not great.
In fairness, the bar has been raised, to be clear.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Party Down?
Yes.
Yeah, I never knew about it. It's this TV show from the 2010, 2009
it was a
era.
Star show, yep.
And it just has all these amazing comedians in it, and it's so nuanced. So if you really like The Office and that type of awkward humor, or like the show like I Think You Should Leave, or Arrested Development, these shows where like there's this kind of sagging, oh my God, awkwardness in the scenes. Party Down kills it.
It's great. Did you watch the new? They did a new season.
I watched even the new
season. I didn't see the new one yet. I got to get up on that.
It's one of these only on Hulu deal BS things, but I found a way on the internet to watch it somehow.
A clearly legal way. Not at all illegal.
No, I have hard copies. Hulu only show. But even the new season, they go back and call back to the first two seasons. But it's something I never missed. Someone mentioned it to me. I went back and watched the first two seasons. It just blew my mind.
Yeah, I caught it really late. I had a buddy that was huge into it at the time. I caught it like 10 years after the fact. And the cast in that show and the amount of people that got their start in that, it's like, oh my God, dude. It's fucking glorious, dude.
It's great. It's got a bunch of the cast from an old comedy movie I never saw when it came out till after the fact, is Wet Hot American Summer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. My wife showed it to me when we first started dating. And I was like, what the fuck is this? When did this come out? This is a real movie? It's got like 20 different actors in it, and they're camp counselors, and it's just so goofy as shit. It's just, I mean, it's like Naked Gun level of goofiness.
If it's the best or worst thing ever made, it's that far out there.
I don't know
if I love this.
It's one of the best
or the most horrendous piece of shit ever. It is wildly awkward. It is real uncomfortable.
It is bad. There's a scene where they go into town from the camp. So the counselors go into town to get some things from town real quick, and they end up going on this cocaine and like smoking meth and going on this bender, and like it's just it's like this 15-minute departure of the movie where it gets super dark, and then it comes back and they're like, whoa, that was pretty crazy, right? Yeah. And then they're just back to it's just this kind of just insanely over top comedy stuff. But
oh wow,
I'm trying to remember one of the Michael Shoe something. Do you know the guy's name? I don't know. They had some other show that was on FX or one of those type of channels, and like one season of it, and equally uncomfortable. Dude, was that trifecta of people. I'm going nowhere with this because I can't remember the guy's name, which renders all this absolutely pointless.
I don't love the super awkward humor kind of shit though. I never loved The Office. It's fine, there's funny shit in it or whatever, but it's not my favorite shit. Like,
I mean, I love the early seasons. The later stuff's whatever.
Yeah, but I don't know enough about it to really talk about it. But people are obsessed with it, and I've always watched it. I'm like, it's not like it's like terrible or something. There's funny stuff, like I was saying about the whole awkward. Oh, actually, South Park did that whole episode. Do you remember South Park did that? Everything now is awkward, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of true.
The Office gets bonus points because it's at least a reasonably / pretty funny network show, right?
Yeah.
You've got so many more guardrails on a network show versus HBO or Showtime, where you can just go off the rails and do it rated R and whatever the fuck you want.
It's very relatable. A lot of people worked in an office and had those experiences.
It's pretty well.
The one that I don't get is Friends. I don't understand why people like that show.
Dude.
They're like, oh, it's so great. Why?
It's terrible.
It's fake.
Like
these are not real people. There are people in New York that have apartments like this.
They're working in a coffee shop.
Yeah,
and
no,
got
this is not a real life.
Square foot apartment overlooking
the people
the city.
who like Friends
okay,
are fucking basic fucking ass people. I'm sorry.
Shout out
Willams,
by the way, who I believe made the contention that Friends is a better show than Seinfeld.
Stop it.
No,
I'm a big Seinfeld believer. I love Seinfeld. That to me might be one of the best comedies.
It's the funniest show ever made, and it
so
still
good.
holds up. It's still equally
hilarious.
good. Larry David and
it
Jerry
gets
Seinfeld,
better with
it's
time.
magic, yeah.
Like I used to love Seinfeld. He was my guy, but nowadays I'm a George Costanza guy.
Oh,
I'm a Costanza man.
Yeah.
It just going back and watching the Costanza, it's just blows
That's
my
the
mind.
Larry David.
Yeah, he
really, he
really made the show. He's
100%.
It's like on South Park, everyone's like, "Oh, who's the main character? Who drives everything?" It's Cartman. Cartman is the main character of South Park, and no one wants to admit it.
I contend Randy Marsh, I think,
well,
that's the funniest character.
That's true too. Nowadays, they really went hard with Randy.
Modern Randy Marsh is
Randy is so funny, but no, it's always been Cartman. I mean, it's the same kind of setup. It's like Stan's the straight man, and you go from this. The same kind of deal with Costanza and whatever. I mean, they hired Jason Alexander because he was a great actor, and they needed to pair a great actor with Jerry, who was not a great actor. I mean, literally, this is what the point. Like, they're like, yeah, this guy, he's hilarious, and we got this show and whatever, and this development deal, but he can't act. And, so like we got to really make sure we hire somebody who's a great actor to be opposite him as his best friend in the show.
It's the most well-balanced cast in the history of television, I would say.
Yeah, 3 guys, 1 woman. Super well balanced. Well, and 2, I mean, famously, the pilot, Elaine was not in. And so it's just the 3 guys, and it's Kessler. It's fucking Kramer's not Kramer. He's Kessler.
Interesting.
And because they didn't want, Larry David didn't want to name Kramer after his real neighbor Kramer, because he knew his real neighbor Kramer would fucking go hard about it and try to get money from him and all this shit, right? But then they did it, and they were like, it just does not have the same ring to it. Calling somebody Kessler than Kramer. Yeah. And they were like, we just got to go with Kramer. And then the network and everybody was like, there's 0 women in this show. And so they were like, all right, we got to hire, a woman. And he knew her from SNL. and whatever. So the rest is history.
She pulled it off. She's got great comedic timing.
Hilarious.
She's fantastic.
I had a huge crush on her when I was a teenager.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
She was a total bitch.
And
She
to this
wasn't.
day,
It's
dude.
not even that traditionally hot.
Exactly. That's
but
why and
it
she's
was
funny.
It was her
That's what-
attitude
yeah.
that I was
man.
attracted to because it's like I want to hang out with her because she makes fun of everything.
Are you a Veep guy? Have you seen Veep?
I've seen a few episodes. I mean, it's politics and it's like God. I can't. I don't
She's
want to.
great in that show, though. Yeah.
Crushing those Emmys on that show. Just running.
Also, honorable George Costanza mentioned when they do the arc about making the show Jerry and they cast Jeremy Piven to play George. Jeremy Piven knocks it out of the fucking park as George.
And that guy they hired to play Kramer is in a bunch of other shit too. I don't know his name, but like you know him when you see him. He's like that guy. That just going that meta on it, and then fucking coming back in Curb and doing the fucking reunion, the Seinfeld reunion, but in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Did you see that shit?
I mean, I've seen a lot of Curb, but I haven't seen that episode.
That's like a whole story arc of the season. And he does it all because he's trying to get his wife back, and it's all it's just fucking all convoluted. So, but it's just super meta because everybody we want a Seinfeld reunion, and so he's like, all right, well, we're gonna do a Seinfeld reunion, but it's gonna be within Curb Your Enthusiasm, and so it's just fucking
It's so well played. I think Larry David for the the token. If you had one person to meet question. If he's not it, he's certainly top 3, man. It's some combination of like Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and Larry David. Dude. Picking that guy's brain to be fucking fascinating.
Yeah, he is an interesting character. I talk about a guy that like he doesn't have to do anything ever, and he's just like, I'm just gonna make this ridiculous show on HBO. And like when he first started it, it was a thing where he was fighting them to not advertise it at all. He's like, no, don't advertise at all. Just put it up. And they're like, dude, we have to like do some advertising for it. And he's like, no, I'm just doing this thing,
Well, if you remember, Curb started as a mockumentary.
Yeah, there was the movie first.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I've never seen. Did you see it?
Yes, I did.
I've not seen it.
You should definitely watch it.
Yeah. Is it good? Is it fun?
Yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, it's like a pseudo Office style, obviously that kind of mockumentary thing, but it's all about Larry David, and it's pretty awesome.
Indeed. Larry David's the man. Listen, boys, I got to take a piss. So let's fucking take a break. It's good to be back after a couple weeks.
Indeed. Much like the Counting Crows said, you don't know what you got till it's gone, my friend. A real longing in the heart for this podcast after skipping a week.
Yeah, without that week, I've really been missing like the things that are happening in the world today.
Indeed. With the hustle and bustle of everyday life, how does one keep up on the news? And furthermore, how do you separate the real news from the fake news?
I wish there was a trusted source that we could fucking rely on.
I don't know. I'd like to know.
Fortunately, gentlemen, I think we've got just the thing.
The Dangerville podcast presents News of the World.
Hey-o!
Delicious. All right.
I'm back with some real crap fest this week. I got a few.
Back on.
Yeah, I got a couple.
My back's been getting a little tired from carrying this segment the last few months.
Yeah, I've not been coming with shit on the news.
Dominant segment. All right, ladies and gentlemen. First up on the docket, we've got a cougar has taken command of Haystack Rock, closing the tide pools in a stretch of Cannon Beach.
Oh, shit.
So a cougar has unexpectedly taken over a large mountain perch at Haystack Rock, resulting in public officials closing the beach to the public out of safety concerns.
Yeah.
Town officials noted that while the cougar is simply sitting quietly atop the rock for now, the risk of a large crowd causing Mr. Mellencamp to start playing music is simply one they can't afford to take.
Smash!
I thought for sure you were just gonna go. that was good. You got me on that one. I thought you were going a different direction.
You know, my friend, your first mistake is thinking you got me pegged here. This crucial misdirection of the brilliant joke writing. You don't know if it's coming from the left, coming from the right. You don't know where I'm going about.
I thought someone was gonna have to fight a cougar off. I'm glad.
Indeed.
I'm glad we're all safe and it's just music.
Well,
It's
have you
either
heard
that
about
or a
this?
Madonna jokes.
That's well. Yeah, I'm gonna dive right into this one then. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Authorities call off the Berlin lioness alarm. Did you see this story?
No.
Yeah, saying there is no evidence of a predator in Berlin. So Authorities determined on Friday that there is no actual danger to people in the area on the edge of Berlin where a potentially dangerous animal was spotted, saying they no longer believed that a lioness is at large and calling off the hunt.
Okay.
Yeah. A search turned up no sign of such a predator, and experts who analyzed the video have concluded that it was most likely a wild boar.
Damn.
I know.
Dude.
So there's this huge fucking pig running around out there. The actual lioness took to social media saying, "Look, I know I've put on a few pounds, but there's no reason to fat shame me."
Oh. Was that a Lizzo joke?
It should be. So, all right, here you go. Here's my alternate. However, there still may be danger of a cougar on the prowl, with multiple sightings of Madonna being reported.
All right.
This is terrible. Mine are all fucking god awful this week.
Fortunately, my friend, I've got your back. I've got nothing but bangers as always. Bringing the heat.
Let's go.
Navy parachutist injured after a hard landing at Duluth Air Show. So a U.S. Navy parachutist was sent to the hospital Saturday after being injured while performing a trick with another parachutist that involved holding on to each other's legs during the jump. Yeah.
Okay.
An analysis of the accident concluded that the injury could have been avoided had the man simply jumped before hitting the ground. Little Do America call back there? Little Do America?
Going right for your own soundbite there. Right off the
Yeah, I'm cutting you off to the pass.
Dude. All right, guys. Have you heard about this shit? Bald men, boys, are being hunted down in Mozambique.
Whoa.
Because of the belief that their heads contain gold.
Oh, they're shiny.
Guys, so far 5 bald men have been killed, all in central Mozambique, due to a cultural belief that the bald men's heads contain solid gold.
Damn.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
During his regular press briefing this week, the guy's name is Inácio Dina. Hope I'm saying that right. He is the spokesman for Mozambique's General Police Command. He said the phenomenon was new to the country. And then he went on to elaborate, preliminary investigations have concluded that the people of Mozambique have recently started listening to the news segment from the Dangerville podcast, leading to the seemingly obvious conclusion that co-host Ross Morgan's bald head must contain literal solid gold.
24 karat.
I'll allow it.
So stupid. I don't know if we should. I had a couple angles on that.
After 49 weeks of doing this pod, I can definitively confirm. Unfortunately, that is not the case.
All right, Shade, let's crack that. Let's crack it open. I got bills to pay.
We're going to bust this wide open here, baby. All right. So Iowa man's collection of 70,000 pencils being evaluated as possible world record. Did you see this one?
Oh, yeah.
So an Iowa man may be well on his way to an official world record for pencils, as his claim of owning 70,000 of them is currently being verified by Guinness after an initial count done by 2 individuals from the American Pencil Collectors Society. Okay. A distinguished society, to be sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
APCS.
When and if the count is confirmed by Guinness, the man will be granted a second record for the most pencils never to have been touched by a woman. 70,001. Oh. 70,001 pencils.
He's a nerd.
Worst
I get it.
episode ever.
Oh, man. Have you guys heard about this shit? A sensitive U.S. military information has been being sent via email for years thanks to a typo.
Whoa,
you guys heard about this shit? All right. So millions of U.S. military emails have been directed to Mali, which is a country in West Africa.
Okay.
Through a typo for, instead of saying .ml, which is for Mali, instead of .mil for military.
Ooh, seems like a crucial mistake.
Yeah. So almost all of the email is spam, and none of it is marked as classified.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, so they did another investigation on this to try to figure out what was actually going on, and they actually determined that the cause of the issue was not a typo, but it's actually a CIA-run offensive to get back at that damn African prince for all the spam mail he sent to the U.S. over the last 30 years.
My grandma's cat hasn't ate for weeks.
Great stuff. Great stuff. All right.
The Nigerian prince or whatever.
I was thinking possibly a Molly Ringwald tie in there. Nigerian prince is a good angle.
I
was thinking too, the other angle I was going to go with was instead of .ml and then .mil, the next one being .milf. some kind of .milf.
Indeed, that's well played.
Tie it back to the Cougars.
Right.
Indeed.
All right. Disney's live-action Snow White under fire for replacing 7 dwarfs with magical creatures of all sizes and genders.
Wow.
This has been a huge story, dude. People
Yeah.
up in arms over this one, despondent beside themselves over this story.
That is ridiculous.
So Disney's forthcoming live-action Snow White is under fire for being so politically correct that it's reimagining the 7 dwarfs as magical creatures of all sizes and genders. Yeah.
Wow.
The film's star actress Rachel Zegler commented, "People are making these jokes about ours being the PC Snow White, where it's like, yeah, it is, because it needed that." Yeah. A well-articulated and sweet sentiment from Rachel, to be sure.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. She went on to say, "As long as the goddamn Polacks stay out of the equation, I'm in full support of the film's changes." Yeah. Additional plot revisions were made to alter it for a new generation. As Prince Charming was unable to consent directly with Snow White on her ability to kiss her and awaken her from her slumber, the dwarves decided that the only legally sound route was to take her... God damn it, really butchering this one. To take was a sign of do not resuscitate order and allow nature to take its course. It stinks. He muffed it. Fumbled it. Fumble-rooski.
You should have just ended it at the first thing.
Yeah, it was going to be a banger, but he muffed it.
Wow.
Brutal.
The longest long cricket, dude. Guys, have you heard about this shit? 1.5 million gallons of wastewater has been released into the Kalamazoo River, your hometown.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
Triggering a no-contact order. So,
damn.
Yeah, officials are warning people to avoid a section of the Kalamazoo River after a release of more than 1.5 million gallons of wastewater. City and county health officials are advising all people to avoid contact with the river, and the source of the release is still under investigation.
Jesus Christ.
It's a lot of fucking wastewater being released
Indeed.
there. In other news, the summer tour stop in Kalamazoo from the Dave Matthews Band was considered a success from all who attended.
Yes.
Throw back there. Keep throwing it back to that.
Note to self, invest in a Brita, dude. The Kalamazoo water is constantly fucked up.
That
dude.
river is constantly fucked up, dude. When I lived down there and worked for the newspaper, where they had that huge oil spill.
Yeah, the
and all
Enbridge
that
spill.
shit, dude.
That shit's ridiculous.
I think over
down there.
10%'s been cleaned up.
Over 10%. Hey.
A staggering double-digit number. Thank you, County of Kalamazoo. All right. An apocalyptic explosion at a chemical plant in Louisiana. Okay.
Damn.
So a massive explosion and huge fireball were seen at Dow Chemical Plant in Plaquemine, Louisiana last Friday night.
Holy shit.
Forcing the evacuation of several hundred citizens due to potential dangers of the chemical fire. Yeah. A spokesman from Anheuser-Busch commented on the story, saying, "Chemicals aren't really my area of expertise, but if the blaze is anywhere near as hard to put out as the dumpster fire we're dealing with over here, they're going to be at it for a while."
Yeah. All right. Kid Rock is pissed. That was good. I'll allow that. Let me see here. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is some kind of happy news here. A veteran is celebrating his 104th birthday.
Oh, wow. Good for
and he
him.
credits Jim Beam and Jack Daniels for his longevity.
That's amazing.
Which is fucking badass to begin with. So this dude's name is Arthur Walters Jr. He just celebrated his 104th birthday. Walters brags that he's gotten this far without taking any medication. People always ask, what do you attribute to living this long to? And I always say I have two good friends, Jim Beam and Jack Daniels, he said.
Well played, Walt.
I know. Then he went on to say he also attributes it to his long life to black tar heroin and a unquenchable thirst for cheap hookers. So, happy birthday, sir. Thank you for your service.
The only medicine he's getting
Cheap
down
hookers.
with it's little grandpa's cough medicine. Man. Guys like that always give me so much hope, though, when you hear about those old men and women that are like 100 years old. They're just, I just eat bacon every day and fucking
I eat a pound of bacon
smash
for
liquor,
breakfast.
smoke a pack of heaters a day. All right.
Unquenchable hookers.
I've got one more, and I'm gonna have to call the closeout joke here. So what else you got over there?
Yeah,
bro?
I got one more terrible one, so I'll go ahead if you got to close it because this is just bad. So, all right, a Alaska paddleboarder. It's not the same story, is it?
No.
Okay. No. Have you heard about this Alaska paddleboarder who escaped a close encounter with a humpback whale?
Oh wow.
Yeah. A Alaska man on a paddleboard escaped a close encounter with a humpback whale, not even getting himself wet. He said, I quote, it's just so massive, you're puny against this whale. This guy's name is Kevin Willams of Anchorage.
Okay.
Yeah, he then went on, Mr. Williams told the Alaska news agency that he better not hear this story on the Dangerville podcast, making another goddamn Brendan Fraser joke. Seriously, guys, just stop.
Indeed. I think if there's one thing we can all agree on, it's probably time to put the Brendan Fraser jokes to bed. I think we probably beaten this dead horse enough.
Clearly.
I think we're all good.
Let's hear what you got.
All right. And to close us out here, as a newsman, as a revered journalist, one of the preeminent ones in my generation, if I do say so myself, it's a job I take seriously, gentlemen. And with that, you've got to bring the people both the good and unfortunately the bad.
Yeah.
So we've got a sad one to close us out here. A pod of 55 pilot whales died after being stranded on a beach in Scotland. Yeah, sad story to be sure. I'm not going to get through this one. A pod of 55 pilot whales have died after they were found washed ashore on a beach in Scotland. The worst mass whale stranding ever in the area, according to marine experts. Yeah, super sad. The rescuers actually discovered that 15 of the whales were still alive, but needed to be euthanized due to the condition they were in. Yeah. Among them were 11 adults, 3 calves, and 1 Oscar winner. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is yours.
The Dangerville podcast presents
That might have been the best Brendan Fraser joke I've ever crafted. Especially good timing. They're doubling down on that beef rage material.
I was going to do an actual joke about it, and I was just beating that dead horse so bad. That movie came out like 6 months ago.
Oh, it's literally my goal. This is to keep that shit going as long as we can.
He's not even fat.
Oh, he's pretty obese, man. And in fairness, he was fat well before that movie. It had nothing to do with that movie. I do have a bonus news story. This shit is fucked up, man. I don't know how big a thing this is or if you guys heard of it. A Wisconsin woman got accused of choking her lover to death during a drug-fueled sex romp and then dismembering.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it. She sucked his dead dick or some shit, dude.
So, and wait, she accidentally dismembered him?
No, she killed the suit. I don't know the details. Yeah. Go ahead. You probably know more.
So, is this 25-year-old chick? Her name was Taylor Schabusiness, which is pretty funny.
Schabusiness?
That's the greatest rap name of all time.
Yeah, dude, Schabusiness. That's
Taylor down to Schabusiness. Yeah, get down.
After several hours trying to think of the most glorious rap name ever, it was staring me right in the face. If only this murder had happened about 2 years ago.
I got murder
but yeah, she was accused of first-degree murder, intentional homicide. She mutilated the corpse and then got a third-degree sexual assault charge against this other 24-year-old dude. So apparently the victim's mother woke up. She heard the door closing and the car starting. She noticed the downstairs lights were on, right? So she goes down to see what's up, and she looks in this bucket in the corner of the basement and finds her fucking son's head in there.
Yeah.
So she goes upstairs, wakes up her boyfriend, who apparently doesn't see the best, and she's like, I think I just found my son's fucking head down there. They later found the torso in a storage tote. So they called the cops. They're just like, we found a fucking head in the bucket, and the cops are like, are you sure it's not a mannequin's head? And they're just like, no, it's absolutely a human head.
My son's head.
This is in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer, Wisconsin.
Correct.
And the cops were still like,
right.
Yeah, I don't know. We've had a few of these.
Yeah. The cops over there are like, yeah, are they black? Probably,
We're not quite convinced, but apparently, yeah, they spent the day smoking meth. They were having sex. She chained him up. She went crazy on this big methed out rage and started choking him with a chain and shit. She said she didn't mean to kill him, but she saw him turning purple. He started coughing up blood. and she said she just enjoyed choking him and continued to do it. So she said she was already this far and decided to keep going. The detectives asked, or she said to the detectives, like, do you know what it's like to love something so much you can kill it?
Okay.
This fucking bitch was crazy.
Yeah.
She told police that they were going to have fun trying to find all the body parts that she dismembered.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and then apparently continued playing with the body in a, quote, sexual manner after she fucking decapitated the guy. Super fucked up.
Yeah, I
Out of
heard that she
control,
like,
dude.
and I'm not making this up. I heard that she like sucked the dead dick like after he was dead. Or
Yeah,
something,
she
like,
continued
shit like that.
playing with it. I don't know. They didn't go into detail.
That's the
thankfully,
detail
but yeah.
I heard, and I don't know because I didn't see it all of it. I was, but
I mean, was it
fuck.
like hard or flaccid? I mean,
I don't know.
He's
I mean,
rocking,
if
he was
you got
rocking
like a
that
tight
pariah
grip
for
around the
sure,
neck,
dude.
maybe the blood pressure's high enough to.
Yeah.
I don't know what the
I got to
physics
imagine
of that
it
are.
kind of stays like that when you die.
Well, it's
maybe,
like
or
yeah,
something. I
like
don't know.
in Clerks when the dead guy has the boner,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Like
in the freezer. Yeah.
I mean, there's worse ways to die, right? Maybe.
yeah, you going out messed up, getting
I mean,
ridden by
right,
some
guys.
crazy bitch.
I mean, it's
Everything right up until that point. He's probably having a pretty good day, all things considered. You know, not so much after.
Hey, it's at least it's a little bit more fun than just a car accident, right? I mean, I'd rather do that than a car accident.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to go out with a bang when they get right down to it.
Just didn't want to.
rim shot. Oh, I was going for the rim shot. I couldn't remember. Go with McMahon instead.
Yeah.
Fucking out of control.
It really is. Yeah, no, I know it's all over the fucking place right now, but I'm sure that'll be a fucking Lifetime movie immediately.
Indeed. Also been super curious, and I'm glad you watched this because I jotted this down and didn't get a chance to catch it. But the U.S. Congress holding the UFO hearings. this week, my
Yeah,
friend. What's the
man.
story
Did you
on
watch this shit? You up on the fucking UFO here?
I mean, I've been following it all. I don't believe any of it. I am a believer in Project Blue Beam in the sense that I think it's all a distraction. I don't.
Project Blue Book? Or I don't know, is there a
Blue
Project Blue
Beam.
Beam? I don't know that one.
Project Blue Beam is basically the concept of the government is faking aliens to distract us from other things.
Right, okay. Yeah. That's
You
I mean
know.
that's
Hey,
That's
hey,
more-
everyone! The aliens are here, and
Right.
we're the only one that are allowed to talk to them. Actually,
Yeah.
So
Right.
you have to do everything we say, otherwise the aliens will blow us up, kind of like the Abyss.
Is
Right.
the thought process that it's to distract from other random things, or like we are developing these crafts and it's a military thing and they're trying to distract from that?
I mean, it's kind of a loose premise, right?
Yeah, that's
But
all.
it's
That's what I'm saying. Like
distract us from the fact that we're destroying the planet, and
right.
it's a very unfair economic game, and a lot of the things that we could fix, they want to keep us away from the things we could easily fix because the people in power want to stay in power. Why wouldn't they?
Right.
That's always been like the grand conspiracy. I've never heard of it as Project Blue Beam, but that's always been, one of the big things is none of this is real and it's all just a big smoke screen and to fuck with everybody.
I heard a great story. I don't know if I'm divulging too much here, or diverging too much here, but I heard a great story where there are people that believe that the Roswell stuff was actually, and there's a little bit of evidence around this, but it's ultimately just a conspiracy theory. But Russia, knowing that we had developed nuclear weapons and all this other stuff during the Cold War, purposely genetically or physically surgically altered children, put them in a weird craft and purposely launched it and dropped it into New Mexico just to fuck with our deep state and our military and to drive us crazy.
Damn,
So if we drop these
dude.
crazy alien-looking organisms that were really children that they physically manipulated, put it in this crazy spacecraft and just drop it there, it'll waste our resources. Because the Cold
Holy
War
shit,
is
yeah.
all about wasting resources, kind of like now the U.S. and China, we're kind of in this economic Cold War where we need each other, but at the same time, we both want to be the stronger entity.
Sure,
So there's
yeah,
some weird
yeah.
stuff going on.
Yeah.
Kind of well played by Russia.
I mean,
I'm not gonna lie, dude.
there's been a lot of that it's children or that it was also little people or midgets or whatever the correct.
I mean, I have my
nomenclature is or
own alien theory. I love ancient aliens.
Me too.
I love all the stuff with Graham Hancock.
Huge fan.
And Randall Carlson.
Yeah.
And the
Actually, just finished Eric Von Daniken book.
Eric Von Daniken is a little bit much for me, but I like a lot of.
He's the Godfather, though.
I think
he's the GOAT, dude.
He's great at bringing up questions, but he's not super scientific. That's my only problem with Van Daniken. Is
the proof points are not great.
It's
Chariots of the Gods.
Well, he tries to prove things, going, "This is real because I saw it in this religious text," and it's like, dude, let me tell you about religious text here.
No,
there's a guy veiled, there's a vaguely spherical object.
No, I gotta say about Von
UFO.
Daniken is he doesn't present super well in person, and part of that's language barrier and stuff.
Yep.
His books, the actual books, are better. I've read probably 4 of his books, including the first one and Chariots of the Gods. I have that VHS around here somewhere. That's super appropriate. Chariots of the Gods VHS. They produced it into a movie in the 70s. It's fucking highly uncalled for. But anyway, I'm just saying that he's one of those fucking guys where like the language barrier is a thing, but the books are, more well thought out and stuff like that. But yeah.
So my theory, if there are some type of aliens, I believe that about 13,000 years ago, we were probably scraped by a comet that totally decimated North America and set our cultures back. That's why we have like Göbekli Tepe, which has been buried 13,000 years ago. It's like, why was it purposely buried? A lot of really weird stuff. The pyramids were probably not built by the Egyptians. They were probably built by a previous civilization.
Right.
And kind of all this stuff together. So my alien theory, if they're around, is I believe that kind of maybe 13 or 20,000 years ago, maybe there's an Atlantis or some other advanced civilization. Maybe they figured out nuclear energy. Kind of tying back to some of the Indian religious texts, the Bhagavad Gita, and how they had flying machines and this stuff. And
the Vimanas.
I actually have a coworker that I worked with that grew up in northern India her whole life. And I was asking her about the stuff, and she's like, "Yeah, it's all in there.
Yeah,
it's all. Yeah, that's our our Bible. Yeah, they had flying machines, and they used to fight. Yeah, that's all in there." And she grew up her whole life in northern India, and she's like, "Yeah, we believe this." Like crazy. Yeah. And so to me, I think there's a chance that we actually developed some like nuclear technology, and there was a breakaway civilization that went to go live either underwater in the Arctic or on the dark side of the moon. Mm-hmm. And they've been there.
Let's not bring Pink Floyd into this. All right.
They've been there this whole time, trying to watch us, trying to keep us from deconstructing. Yeah. So that's my personal theory: is that over 20,000 years they've evolved to look like the Greys.
Yeah, I mean that's a couple things. I've never been a big subscriber on the breakaway civilization. Not that it's less valid than any of the other crazy bullshit out there,
right?
But for some reason that one's never struck a chord with me.
Feels the most plausible to me.
It is in a way. It is
like
in
it's
a way.
possible,
yes,
whereas deep space travel to me, the whole connecting black holes, folding space, to me, it just isn't there. Like when you get deep into quantum physics, it's not real.
Did you see Event Horizon, bro?
Yeah, bro.
I did watch that.
Sam Neill, bro. Come on, man. With the Greys, one of the big theories you could say with the Greys, of course, and that's what you're saying right now, is that they are humans
that just evolved over 20,000 years.
Yeah,
that lived on the dark side of the moon.
This is Joe Rogan even always talks about this as his favorite pet theory, is that it's just, is it time travelers that are humans coming back, and like, because if you look at, and again this is what Joe Rogan always says, but he didn't make this up, but if you look at the evolution of human beings, we keep getting smaller, less muscular, less hairy, more androgynous,
right.
more, so if you project that out 20,000 years or whatever, we all become, but I think we'd all be a various state of brown, wouldn't we?
Maybe, I don't know. So, but think about it this way: when you take animals and you put them in deep caves or at the bottom of the ocean, what do they look like? They all have clear gray, colorless skin,
translucent
gray, colorless skin. So if you were to live in the dark side of the moon with no sun, you live in a pod connected to a computer your whole life, you might look like kind of translucent skin.
So two things on both of those points. So I get conceptually that if we are moving more towards an era of technology, like bodily mass, all that stuff becomes less important, right? We have machines to do the physical labor. Thus, there's not as much need to be strong. Heads grow because we're getting smarter, more information, better processing, blah, blah, blah. So conceptually, that makes sense. But if you look at every species, universally, they all evolve basically to attract the opposite gender and to pull down that sweet, sweet balloon tang.
We're already giving up on that
to
though,
date. And again, like obviously this is a new point of demarcation technologically, so it could in theory be a different thing moving forward. But people have basically gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And as a general rule of thumb, some big burly dude generally is going to pull more ass than some scrawny little bitch like me. So just looking at it from a biological standpoint, that would be a question
There's
mark.
some
I would
other
say
things,
the opposite.
There's some other things though that literally are the exact opposite. Like our jaws have gotten smaller and shit like that. That's why people have terrible
there's a
teeth
reason for that. I mean, we're not
Mouth
eating
breathing.
raw meat. Food is cooked now, so you don't need to
It's
rip
that, but
shit
it's
off
also
the bone, so
it's
that's a
also
large
just
part of
sexual
it.
selection too.
It's different. Well, I mean, even in our generation, even to the next generation, is completely different because you guys, we went to high school where you actually had to go talk to girls. You had to go talk to them,
In
or they had to talk in theory.
You were supposed to,
or you got sat next to them in math class or something. Something happened, right?
We went to the school in the age where you sit awkwardly in the corner
Yeah.
during the 8th grade
Yeah.
dance. And
But we're in a point now where most of dating and most of the initial connection of mating is done through an app.
Yeah.
Fair point.
And it's
Yeah.
an 80-20 rule where 80% of the women are only sleeping with 20% of the men.
Yep.
Because they can swipe.
Yep.
Because like all through history of culture and even more prominent today, women have always made the primary choice of who the mate is.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it on an app, which gives them algorithms and efficiency and filtering. So everything's completely changed when it comes to mating in America in modern times. And I think it would get more extreme in the sense of aliens because they would, in this progressive technology, you'd let AI basically write your DNA code for your offspring. Like CRISPR technology. We already have a CRISPR baby. There's a Chinese scientist that illegally came out and said, yeah I used CRISPR and I cloned myself, but then I tweaked some of the genetic markers to make myself stronger, taller, and smarter.
Precisely.
And that baby exists and it's growing up. Right now, it was illegally done, and China has this baby, and they're going to grow it up.
It's growing up right now in my basement.
There will be no more mating. It'll be all genetic code just being pumped in.
Okay,
pumped
but
out.
all right, two counterpoints, one of which you just made for me. Nobody's saying, like, what would be awesome is if I made my kids smaller and weaker and less able to get ass. Like
That's true. That's true.
You just said, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they made this kid
For
bigger,
now,
buffer, etc.
But as
Yeah.
we go,
Yeah,
they're going to get to a point where if you want to deep space travel, you have to be this little
The
being,
other
maybe?
point to your dating app thing, I just heard this deal where men 6 feet and above
The 666s.
skyrocket
No, it's
for
the
the amount of
666s.
ass they are pulling on those dating
What are the
apps versus
666s?
smaller people. I have no idea.
Do you know the 666s?
No, I've never heard of it. It's obviously
6 foot tall,
Yeah.
6-figure
dick.
income,
Oh.
and the 6-inch penis.
Yeah,
if you have 666s as a man, you're basically in the 1% of men, and you're guaranteed to land on the dating apps. That's
But-
because they call it the 666.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
But
Fair.
even so, by that theory,
Or the devil.
you're guaranteed to
666.
land on the dating apps because that is what women are selecting more heavily. So if you extrapolate that thought process out, why would we then, purely from a genetic standpoint,
Because we
go
don't,
away from
because
that
we
if
don't
that's
need
how
a
you
mate
feel? You know
to
what I
mate
mean?
anymore. We just clone ourselves.
No, you just. I don't know.
And
I
then,
mean, it'd be
then if
pretty
you
hot
get,
giving
out
myself a handy if
But
that's where you're going with this.
I got to imagine that any future, at least in my personal view, any futuristic alien society is probably not going to be this hand-holding democracy. It's probably going to be this hardcore colonization and fascist type organization. So the government will probably choose what type of genetic markers to do. So what's the perfect super soldier to send in space? This little gray alien, because it goes in the ship. So maybe the governments are choosing the intelligent body that is ruling. Or an artificial intelligence.
But also
Yeah,
the
there's a lot to
counterpoint to
unpack
that,
there.
dude, when you're thinking super soldiers and everything else, which is rumored to have been done in the past, I have no idea one way or the other.
Yeah.
But when defense is
Kurt
the thing,
Russell.
like, don't you want
Goliath.
Don't you want somebody reasonably strong to protect the home turf? Like, I just have a hard time envisioning a scenario where people actively say what we want to do is get smaller and weaker. I don't know.
I don't know if it's what you
Maybe
want
that's
to do.
maybe that's what's good for deep space travel, though.
Yeah, that makes sense. One other quick thing to back up for the second point I was going to make, and the caveat to this is that we obviously know dick about space-time and all that stuff, right? Like, we probably know...
Just starting to figure it out.
A tiny sliver of what there is to know. Having said that, one of my things that I'm big into is, like, the Einstein mechanics of time travel. his theory, right, wrong, or otherwise, is that it's absolutely theoretically possible to go forward into the future in space. You've obviously, I would assume, have seen the whole thing about, the watches tick marginally more slowly for space travel versus Earth time.
And we've objectively measured that too, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
If in theory you can build a craft that is powerful enough to, break the speed of sound and blah, 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 all that stuff. But his contention is that it's impossible to go back in time. Counterpoint to that is the time is a flat circle theory by Matthew McConaughey in season 1 of True Detective. So. Should we rehash the Gary Payton strain of weed? I feel like that's pretty fucking incredible, dude.
I was about to riff on a whole fucking string of fucking Back to the Future shit. The computer was just like, no, dude, you're done.
We're holding off on that Michael J. Fox material, dude. Coming in with a hot Michael J. Fox take.
Need Swan here for that, dude. Frogs. Where's Frogman? God damn, everything's fucking. There you go, bro.
What kind of half-ass operation we running right now?
That's our mascot. Is the. Yeah, he's Frogman. Sir Frogs-Law. Yeah, anyway, I'm fucking balls deep in fucking Eric Von Daniken right now, and I mean that in more than one way.
Literally and figuratively.
I just finished this book called The Eyes of the Pyramid, which is, The Eyes of the Sphinx, sorry, which is obviously about Egypt and whatnot. So he goes into all this shit about fucking the Egyptian cults of the dead and everything, about how he's like literal fucking, like all the gods in Egypt are all fucking like half man, half whatever. They're all chimeras and shit, right?
Anubis.
Yeah. So like he's talking about how it's like literally were these things, and like the whole fucking mummification was the same shit that we're doing now with fucking deep freezing people to be resurrected in the future and shit. And he goes off about the labyrinth, the grand labyrinth, which the Minotaur, like the myth of the Minotaur. And
Well, David Bowie, yeah.
Indeed, David Bowie's penis, and but the labyrinth was a quote unquote real place in history, just like Atlantis or something, but we can't find it. They think they know where it was and stuff. So it's I don't know. It's a fucking pretty deep cut book, but I liked it. It was fun.
I don't know. That's one of those things I started looking into. I was like, it's just kooky conspiracy, flat earth bullshit. And I started looking into it more. I was like, oh, wow. And then while I was investigating this stuff, maybe 10 years ago when I first started getting into it, we found Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah.
And then when they announced that, I was like, oh my God, everyone. And people, I remember telling all my friends about it, and they're like,
that's funny, man, because I was doing the same thing as you. That was when I was super deep. I mean, I spent like my teens and 20s up until my early 30s. I mean, I was obsessed with all things quote unquote paranormal, you could say, UFOs especially.
I mean, I love the X-Files when I was younger.
Oh, it's my favorite thing ever. I got the whole series. I mean, I Want to Believe posters.
They're rebooting the X-Files. On a side note, which you may know is
not gonna be terrible, but
a file.
New actors or
new actors? Yep.
Oh, it's a TV show.
Yeah.
What's it on?
TBD yet. They're just talking about it. It hasn't actually been produced.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't stink. Chris Carter signed off on it, but I don't know how that's going to go.
I think regardless of the validity of any of that off-the-wall shit, like in most ways, the more crazy and out there it is, even if it's total bullshit, it's so interesting. It doesn't even matter,
I'll say this about Ancient Aliens, too. The show, and I mean, just in general, the thing, but the show is... I've learned more about actual factual history from that show than anything else as far as like these old civilizations and shit. They talk about shit that you just don't hear about. It's even like Göbekli Tepe and stuff like that's real. You can connect it to fucking aliens if you want, but like I never heard about half of this shit. They don't, it's just like, damn, like this is super interesting. The Karnak stones and just whatever.
Yeah, and I remember it really opened my eyes to understanding Indonesia just kind of as a region. Like Indonesia is including like kind of where it's at about 1/5 of the world population lives there. Like, it's huge.
And it's this massive string of islands.
And they have all these islands, and then there are a bunch of ancient structures there too. These tubular pillars where they build these huge mega complexes, and potentially some of the oldest places in the world. But no one talks about it. And you've got, even in Indonesia, and that's where we have Borneo, the most insanely dense jungle where the orange orangutans are from, where they're friendly to other people.
Yeah.
Just the most insanely out of this world animals come from Borneo, and some of the most dense jungles all in Indonesia. And we never hear about it as much in where we live. Like, we're kind of disconnected from it.
And all those islands, if you extrapolate that back to a little bit lower sea level, there's a ton of land there. That was, so a lot of that's kind of like, well, is this where Atlantis was? Is this a whole other cradle of human civilization, and shit?
The island stuff's so fascinating in general because it's so isolated. Like, you get so much such a kickstart for evolution, right? Like the Galapagos and stuff. It's just
that's
the rate
true
that
too.
stuff happens is so fucking wild out there.
And one of the things that I've thought was pretty amazing was I don't know if it's Francisco Soriano or some of the early Spanish colonizers into South America. There was a guy that actually, one of the first European people that took the Amazon through Brazil, through the forest, and one of the first ones ever, and he recorded seeing all these civilizations.
They
had potentially 1 million, 2 million people in a city. Just full all along the river.
Right.
And then the next European that went up the river, nothing.
Yep.
And they're pretty sure that it was smallpox or something kind of happened that destabilized the region where they almost all died. And now we're starting to fly over it with LiDAR.
Lost City of Z, bro. Have you ever read that one?
No.
That's what a lot of this is.
God, it's so amazing. Like that there were these cultures in South America were beyond anything we ever believed at the time.
It's crazy. Well, they think even a lot of the reason the rainforest is because it was actually agriculture, and they were planting all those trees.
The dirt too. They had a special way of layering the dirt to make it super nutrient dense. And it's a problem in North America for our crops, where even Native Americans and North Americans manage the land, and now we're taking all the nutrients out, and it's going to be a problem.
There's a huge concern that within 50 to 100 years, the soil's going to be so nutrient depleted that it's just fucking curtains and ungrowable.
So we all got to start shitting outside.
I predict in the very near future, within 20 years, there's a potential where, like the movie Interstellar, that could come true, where because of our fucking around and finding out with GMOs and Roundup, and doing genetically modified crops and killing every other crop but that crop, there's going to be a point where maybe all we can grow is beans and corn, and we can't grow anything else.
I thought you meant though that there's going to be a point where only Matthew McConaughey can save us. That's what I thought you meant, dude. Yeah.
No, just corn, more corn. That's why when you hear the people talk about
all right.
That's when you hear about eat the bugs, and you're going to eat the bugs, and you're going to be happy.
Yeah.
There's some truth in it, because there's going to be a point in the future where we're going to have to cultivate bugs. I mean, do you want millions of people to starve to death, or do you want people to eat bugs? It looks like a chicken McNugget. Dip it in barbecue sauce.
I'm tapping out.
I'd rather eat the bugs than die.
Eat the bugs.
I'd rather eat the bugs. I mean, I don't want to eat the bugs, if you know what I mean. But I don't like to be told what to do. But at the same time,
people eat insects all over the world now.
I love lobster and shrimp.
It's basically
those are
just
great. Those are tasty.
Underwater bugs.
Yeah. I've eaten worms before, real, out of the ground.
You were that kid?
Yeah, kid. Yeah, I did it when I was a kid.
This was last week.
Yeah, I was 4 years old. Yeah. Elementary school, don't eat worms, that book and all that. Yeah, that's totally when I ate those.
I got down on some crickets before. Dude, cricket's not bad.
I'll fuck with crickets.
Cricket's the only one I've done too. Yeah, Mexico, they eat them. They deep fry them a lot, or they're in the sucker.
Salt them up.
Yeah.
Chocolate covered.
They make them in suckers.
So my problem with all that stuff is, like, I could eat crickets if I know they're farmed in a sanitary place. But that's the problem with bugs. If someone's like, hey, pick up a bug and eat it. Well, that crawled through a sewer. It has literal fecal matter on it.
Yeah.
That's why people don't eat bugs. Not
Good
because
for
the
that
bug
gut
is,
biome, bro.
not because the bug is weird.
It's probiotics, son.
Hell yeah.
It's dysentery is what it is.
I am a
Death by
staunch
shitting.
believer in the exposure to germs and grime and detritus being a glorious thing. As I've said many times,
you only say that because of modern medicine and antibiotics.
Shit.
Because if we didn't have that, you wouldn't say that.
My modern medicine's right here, son. This gut biome's dominant, baby.
Well, you do want that to go.
Unflappable.
Do you do kombucha and other
I'll fuck with
probiotics?
some kombucha, unfortunately, much to my dismay.
It's mostly
Okay.
Taco Bell.
I did find...
That is that's opposite of gut health. That's gut rot.
That's the ultimate gut cleanse.
That is not a healthy.
I do need a lowdown, so we got down a rabbit hole, which is glorious. But I gotta hear what happened with these UFO fucking.
Oh yeah, that
hearings.
fucking they did the fucking.
Are we still on news?
No, yes. They did the whole hearing. I watched it fucking live.
What's your take on it, man?
It was really
like,
good. I will say that, obviously in this hearing, it's more of a public format. It's almost more of a show than anything,
do they have multiple people speaking?
Yeah.
on
So
it,
there's
or-
three panelists. One of them being David Fravor, the Tic Tac UFO guy.
Yeah.
Another one being this Grouch dude who's like the new whistleblower,
Right.
fucking du jour.
TikTok.
Right? Yeah. Did I say TikTok?
No, the old guy in
Yeah, he's like this old dude went off about. He goes, "It's the Tic Tac UFO. My daughter tried to correct me that it's TikTok and called me a boomer." And I said,
"This is recorded in Congress."
Yeah,
My
that's
daughter
right.
called me
He goes,
a boomer.
I had to say, "It's a candy, sweetheart. Look it up." So there's like it, but it was the cool. Here's what the best part about it is. Okay, it was like the most bipartisan thing that Congress has done in fucking 30 years or something. Yeah. There's like people from fucking both sides of the aisle, including you got Matt Gaetz there asking questions, and then you also got AOC there asking questions.
Sorry, to jump in for a quick sec. In many ways,
Isn't that a hot
this
power
is
couple?
the most fucking.
Yes, I would watch that.
I
porn.
would pay money for that.
Doesn't that kind of in and of itself set off alarm bells? Because over what does our fucking political system ever unite, dude? It is universally the
Money.
right versus the left.
Yeah, money.
So
Yeah.
to your point of misdirection and hey, let's pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Would that not be a great reason for these two parties to get together? They can't agree on the most fundamental of things, and all of a sudden, this is the one they're walking hand in. So it almost backs
They
up. what
agree.
you're
They
saying.
agree. The modern uniparty of the left and the right, in the federal sense, they agree on a lot. They agree on pro-corporatization, pro-globalization.
Right.
You know,
Their own pay raises and vacations.
There's some things that aren't kind. I mean, term limits. We don't even have term limits for Congress.
Well, this
people?
one
Like,
dude in the
do we
hearing
live in
called out for
civilization?
term limits. By the way, did
we
you
might
catch
as well
that?
be caveman at this point.
Did you hear that shit though? The one guy that I think the same old timer that was fucking going off. He was like making all these comments about shit like that, like during the hearing. That's why we need term limits. Anyway, we're gonna be looking at like shit like this.
He also thanked his wife and
Yeah,
told
he
her
went on-
like
yeah.
it's
Yes,
obvious
I
he
know.
doesn't think it's a big deal. He doesn't give a shit.
But he was also asking some of the best questions about the whole thing.
I
His
felt
questions are fucking great.
the main guy, the guy that was the pilot,
yeah.
answering questions, he deflected so much, too much.
No, that wasn't the pilot. That was that Grouch dude. He was deflecting everything.
Okay.
And to his
I don't.
The whole thing was like, I could tell you that in a whatever enclosed room, they call him a skiff or whatever, right? Skip or skiff or something like that. And so he's like, yes, I can answer that, but I can't do it in public because my life is in danger. Essentially,
Yeah,
was
give me
his
a break, dude.
And then, but hilariously, David Fravor, because one of the questions was to all three of them, like, have you felt professionally threatened? Have you felt personally threatened? Like, what are your experiences with this? And Fravor, hilariously, is just like, everybody's been great to me. He's like, he's like, no, I haven't had any pushback at all. The other guy's like, I am getting, like I got forced out of the Pentagon. They're threatening my life. They're threatening my wife's life. Like all that shit. And I believe that too. I mean, that's ufology.
That's just
right
human
there.
behavior.
That's
you know what I mean?
he's
Like
saying.
it's not
Yeah,
even
yeah.
that's not even like some conspiracy. It's just humans
Yeah.
kind of punish the out-group person.
That's
hey,
what
we
he's
all
saying.
believe
Yeah.
this, and you're an outside. They're gonna
And he's leaving the tribe of the Pentagon and the intelligence community, so they're fucking pissed about that, like you were one of us, and now he's fucking whistleblowing, and they're basically trying to shut that down. Yeah, that's his story anyway.
I don't know. See, to me, this recent stuff is on the level of Bob Lazar, where it's a guy that, he worked at the military base. He figured out how to build a cool car when he was 15, a solar-based car when he was 15. He's a smart guy, but at the same time, I think he's a pathological liar.
Do you?
I don't.
We're talking about Bob Lazar a lot.
Bob Lazar, I believe, is a pathological liar.
Yeah.
And I believe a lot of this stuff I'm hearing right now is just not real. It's just not connected enough. There's not enough physical evidence.
Well, there's not that. That's for sure.
It's just too hokey pokey.
It's another claim.
So much horseshit. I mean, I remember just a year and a half ago, I went on, what is CBC, whatever that cable channel is that they do, that you can watch Congress. And I watched the entire... C-SPAN. I watched the entire, all day long, when they had all the heads of social media come in and talk in front of Congress. I watched the whole thing for 8 hours. I was I need to fucking know this, because social media is tearing my friends and family apart, and I need to know what these people are really doing, because I'm in the tech industry. I know how software is made. I know how it's run. I know how software as a service is run. I know websites. I know how people make money with it. I know how it's done, and I know that a lot of what they're doing are not lining up to what they say they're really doing. Oh, Twitter. No, we're not really shadow banning people. Like, I can literally search Twitter, search names day after day, and I can literally see that things are getting shadow banned. But publicly, people are like, that's not really going on. That's a conspiracy. And it's like, God, this is so frustrating, because I can see it clear as day online, but the average person is like, no, the tech companies are fine. So I watch them. I watch them in Congress.
Let me stop you there, though.
I watch them in Congress, right? And the Congress says, hey, are you guys doing this shadow banning thing? No, sir. No, we're not. Nothing ever happened to them.
Right.
And it came out later. Oh, yeah, actually we did. Oh, Elon Musk bought the company. Hey, it looks like they were shadow banning people. Yeah, we did, but whatever. Nobody gets in trouble for it, because we're all buddies.
Listen, hold on. Let's bring it back to UFOs a second. Now let me throw this at you, right? What you're just saying, the guy you're seeing it and you're frustrated.
I'm just saying, I don't. People getting interviewed in Congress, I don't always believe what they have to say. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, that's fair. But what you're saying, there's also that guy in the military who is equally frustrated about UFOs, who's saying the same thing you are.
Like, and that's bullshit?
No. He's saying, I'm seeing all this go on and I'm frustrated about it because nobody's taking it seriously. That's what you just said you are, right? So that guy, a mid-level dude who's a whistleblower, is going to be there in that too. And that's sort of what maybe this Grouch dude is, even though he was more higher up. But that's what Edward Snowden was, right? In just a different industry,
Snowden.
Right? I don't want to talk about Snowden. I'm just saying that, like,
Snowden, Bradley Manning, like, these guys
what I'll
should
say
be
about the
these
UFO
guys are
thing, dude.
American heroes.
I agree. I totally agree. But that's what this Grouch guy is too. He's just talking about UFOs.
Sorry, Chelsea Manning.
Okay,
Chelsea Manning. I'm sorry.
Right. So what the fuck? I lost my train of thought there a little bit. But I just feel like here's the biggest thing about this. All right. Okay. If it's all bullshit and it's all a show to fuck with everybody, then that sucks. But I don't know. All I'm saying is, in my lifetime, like, being hardcore into ufology for a long time, like following it deep, too deep for a while. It fucks you up going that deep on it. I never thought I would ever see Congress talking about this in an open hearing. I mean, it was like you cannot talk about it at all thing for a long time. So that's, to me, is that's the progress. And they even talk about that. They're like, we couldn't talk about this at all. I don't know. You follow what I'm saying?
I'm following what you're saying.
I do.
The ironic thing is, in that way, it's so different. But think about nowadays versus had something like this come up in the 50s, right? Like, one of the things I was thinking was, even if they say in these hearings definitively, yes, it's real, we've got evidence, we've got pictures, blah, blah, blah. In theory, that changes everything. But in reality, would people look at it any differently? Because I think a good segment of the population would assume it's bullshit. The other people would either be like already have their minds made up that nope, aliens don't exist,
Right.
like super
No matter what
religious
evidence
types,
you show 'em.
potentially.
I can justify.
And then other
it's
people
some
are
Russian
already
craft.
convinced that shit is out
Yeah,
there and
right.
exists. So even if they say it, like between those three things, does it change anything?
I think they felt. I mean, I kind of subscribe to the more classic UFO thing of like, just disclosure. I mean, like, takes a long time. You know, like, I don't know. It's more the classic story.
But think
of
about had
ufology.
this exact same thing gone down, like when Kennedy was in office or whenever. Pick
They
XYZ guy.
still they still keep pushing back the release of the Kennedy assassination data and
Yeah,
files. They keep
exactly.
pushing it back and pushing it back.
Yeah.
But just the trust factor was
yeah.
so different, you know, like whatever was said was gospel. If that shit would have been in the newspapers and Congress talking about
Well, we
it,
all
people
watched
are
the same
absolutely
TV
gonna believe it,
shows.
but not
We
anymore,
were all
you know?
aligned on reality. Now we're not aligned in reality. We all live in echo chambers.
Right.
Well, that's true too.
I mean, I listen to the Dangerville podcast news for my echo chamber. So I know what's
Goddamn right,
going on.
motherfuckers.
Indeed.
So they did also hilariously, of course, shout out Tom DeLonge of Blink 182.
They did.
That's gold.
Which
It's
is
so
fucking hilarious.
funny.
The the dude who was sitting in the center of the panel, I think, was that Grouch dude, and on each side of him in the shot is George Knapp, the famous UFO fucking the guy who brought us Bob Lazar and all that shit, and on the other side of him is that Jeremy Corbell dude, and so
God.
those guys being front and center now is fucking hilarious. I'm a huge George Knapp fan though. He's
An
fucking
esteemed
great.
panel of guys like the dude from Blink 182
yes.
and Bob
That's what
Lazar.
it's so
It's
classic,
so
dude.
ridiculous. dude.
Yeah. But
the
that-
whole Travis fucking Barker, whatever, Tom DeLonge being the
Barker.
point of contact.
That
for all
guy from
things,
Green Day
It's the
or
most
whatever.
preposterous
He
scenario
actually
I've ever heard in my life.
spent
Like,
millions of dollars
threw-
we got this
hiring.
burning information.
Tom DeLonge
There's
supporter
but
on
one
this.
man we can share
It was-
with.
yes.
It was
the guy
called-
from Blink 182.
He started a nonprofit called To the Stars,
Academy, yeah.
and he hired a dozen ex-generals and military
Yeah.
people and paid them like $500,000
Yeah.
a year retainers.
He put his money where his mouth is.
You can't
I say.
write
Tom
stuff
DeLonge
like
is
this.
So
a fucking,
he tried to hire the best people that would know this stuff.
he brought
But at the same time, if you're a general leaving the military and Tom DeLonge is like, "Hey, do you believe in aliens? I'll give you $500,000 to." Yeah, I'm in, son.
It's nice to have that dude ranch album.
Here's
but
my
dude,
routing
he's just
number,
dropping
son.
$500 million contracts on any motherfucker with any kind
Indeed.
of credentials. You got that Blink money, dude.
Yeah, he
All right,
does.
son.
Indeed.
I don't know.
Indeed.
It's good that they talk about it in Congress. I mean, I'm one of those people where I really believe in talking it out, like a podcast, like we do on Dangerville.
Indeed.
I believe sunlight is the best disinfectant when it comes to ideology, ideas,
Yeah.
and issues and problems that we have socially and interpersonally. Is talking through that stuff, and the fact that they're talking about it in Congress, it's great. Because then if it is bullshit, we can really put it to bed.
For sure.
Or, like one of the things, there's got to be something going on, right? What about ball lightning?
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
had people talk about ball lightning for hundreds of years.
Yeah. Well, we know what ball lightning is.
But we still don't have video. We still don't have like
think
real
there's video
proof.
of ball lightning.
There's a fake one online.
Not that I've seen that bullshit fake one. That's clearly
there
fake.
still is no real hard evidence of ball lightning, but there's probably 50 to 100 stories over the last 500 years.
Yeah.
About
Very
ball
credible
lightning.
story, yeah.
And it's a thing where it's like, yeah, it makes sense scientifically and when
Ball
you
lightning
take
doesn't
the
come
physics
anywhere
of it.
close to explaining UFOs.
Well, then you've got Foo Fighters during World War II.
I know. Dave Grohl's great, man. I know.
Not Dave Grohl, the
Yeah,
Foo
Dave.
Fighters
I
that
know,
look like a
yeah.
ball of lightning
Pat Smear.
floating around Northern Europe.
R.I.P. Taylor Hawkins. Yeah, I know, man. I know
Pour one
about
out.
the Foo Fighters, bro. Talking about Monkey Wrench, right? Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, exactly. But that was more. Yeah, well, I mean,
There goes.
the fucking. That's what's crazy about UFOs. And by the way, the other thing I wanted to talk about is like the rebranding of UFOs to UAPs over the last
Don't you like
7,
that?
8 years. I do not. I am a UFO guy. I want to say
not a
UFO.
UAP?
I want to say ufology like a dork.
What did the guy say though? He also the guy in those congressional hearings. What did he say? Non-NBI.
Oh man, yeah, no, he didn't want to say alien,
non-biological. What? Something?
Yeah, it was or non. It was like they were talking aliens, no non-Earth
non-Earth biologics or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. But when he said that, I was like, dope. I was like, that is so cool.
That's your
I'm like, this guy
classic
went to
marketing
Congress and just
rebrand.
created an acronym out of thin air. He's like, yeah, they're non-Earth biologics and EBs.
He's like, yeah,
everyone's
aliens.
writing it down. Oh, yeah.
He's like, oh, what? Y'all don't know?
You mean aliens? Yeah.
No, non-Earth biologics. Yeah. We don't say aliens.
Yeah. I thought it was really good though. I encourage everybody to actually watch it, to just get, it wasn't, but it's only, nothing's going to happen in 2 hours. It's just the beginning of a project. Like I'm saying, it's more of a show. I mean, even the whole thing is almost scripted. They know what everybody's asking. They know generally what the answers are going to be. Like you can
they're not
tell
going to that
like,
shit cold. Yeah, of course. That's all fucking
and then,
spelled out.
dude will not answer the direct, but he did literally say that there's fucking... we have bodies. He literally basically said we have the bodies. That's the big headline everybody's pushing. And I almost kind of missed that. I think they're taking something that was an offhand comment and making it a way bigger.
Yeah, if they got that DNA sequence that sent out.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll know.
Well,
that'll be the proof.
That's the thing, right?
I'll believe that.
It's all going to come down to
You show me a DNA sequence of an alien.
That one guy was like, I'm from the show me state, Missouri. He's all, you got to show me. So I need to see some evidence, like
This guy sounds like he fucking rules, man. He's
that's
just
a
dropping
different guy,
dropping practical knowledge. Dude, that was an old Midwestern politician,
Indeed.
dude. Well, I don't know much, but
He had quite the accent too. I was like, is this guy faking it? Yeah, no, this is real.
I think that one dude, he might have been from Tennessee. That guy that was asking all those fucking, or that shouted out his wife on the thing and all that stuff or whatever.
He was very inappropriate, wildly inappropriate.
Yeah. Well, and they kept giving him more time. Other guys, and again, this is all kind of pre-planned, would be like, I yield the rest of my time to fucking this guy. That guy's like, I'm sure you do.
Over
I'm sure.
In other news, we saw Snoop Dogg on Sunday.
Yeah, we better talk about it.
Snoop Dogg. We're switching the D-O-double-G.
And Wiz Khalifa.
And Warren G. And Too Short.
Did you see Wiz Khalifa's tweet went viral?
A couple of tweets about Grand Rapids.
Yeah, about Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Whoa,
our nasty ass hotels.
Yeah, he said, no, he called it a shady hotel.
Shady.
He said, I don't want to sleep in this shady hotel when I got a state-of-the-art tour bus I can smoke weed on.
That
What
tour bus
hotel
looked
was
nice.
he at?
I don't know.
Who
I don't
cares?
know. Can I confirm? We were talking about it, actually.
Probably the JW.
My guess was that it was the Amway Grand, but it could be either. Could have been either one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or the Super 8. The Super 8 downtown Grand Rapids.
Yeah, this confidence bump.
So yeah, we roll out to fucking Snoop. Well, we went to the Detroit show.
Pine Knob,
Pine
baby.
Knob.
Outdoors,
All right.
Snoop outdoors.
Sick. Well, the thing is we booked these tickets like 6 months ago, and then he added this fucking Grand Rapids show like 2 weeks ago, and we're like,
We're making this harrowing 2-day odyssey across the states and kept Snoop Dogg just like literally right down the road. It's such a.
It was worth everything, dude. It was fucking fun
Snoop
as
Dogg
fuck,
is
dude.
one of the most thoroughly inappropriate human beings
really.
to have ever graced the face of this fine earth. Dude.
I've only ever
Basically
been
a
to one
murderer
rap
for the
concert.
most
Yeah.
part, dude. Like noted drug user in public from way back in the day. Nobody gives a fuck, dude. Snoop Dogg's like so choice. Nobody even cares that.
And
he
how
killed
come he
somebody
never
back
gets
in the day.
arrested?
He gets a pass, dude. He's
His grandfather
It's
did,
the same thing. It's grandfather. He's too good. It's too good. It's too awesome.
He just broke the Matrix.
Yeah, he broke the Matrix. He's like, I'm too good. You're not gonna.
He's the Tarantino
Everybody's
of
like,
rappers,
all right,
son. He
fair.
just rules at such an
Yeah.
unreasonable rate, dude. You can't deny him. You're letting Snoop Dogg get away with whatever the fuck he wants.
What
That
did you
show
think
was
of
fine.
Wiz Khalifa's performance?
So I had nothing on Wiz Khalifa going in. I'm such an old man for anything rap wise that's like after the year 2000, give or take.
Didn't he do Black and Yellow?
Yeah, I didn't know that
Black
at
and
the time.
yellow, black and
No
yellow,
idea.
black and yellow.
Came
I mean,
out
I
for
thought
that.
it was
Open
a
that
choice
shit,
show.
yeah.
I thought Wiz Khalifa threw it down, dude.
I
A
loved
lot
it.
of it
He's
wasn't
pretty good.
necessarily my thing.
He's one of the OG cloud rappers.
He had some super hard bangers, and then he had a bunch of shit that were kind of like party songs,
Yeah,
like real
It's
upbeat.
it's cloud rap.
I wasn't
is the
okay. Is that
genre.
what it is?
Yeah.
Not a fan of the cloud rap. Give me those fucking.
I loved it. I thought it was
He had
fucking
some
great.
bangers.
Yeah.
Some
Do you like?
that was
Do you
that
like
mix
Young
up.
Lean? You
some
ever
shit
listen
that
to
was
Young
straight
Lean?
hard.
No.
He's like a 13-year-old Norwegian kid that started rapping.
Nice.
His name is Young Lean.
That's hilarious.
So good. Yes, he's a power rapper in the cloud rap scene.
Young
Hell
Lean's
yeah,
a pretty
hell yeah.
dominant name too. I'll allow that.
Fucking Warren G was pretty fun, man. You know, he
the
opened
nostalgia
it.
factor for that one was off the charts.
And then Too Short, far superior live than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
Too Short killed
Never
it.
been a Too Short album
Never been a hugest
fan, dude.
Too Short fan
man,
either.
Too Short live's a game changer.
Yeah, Too Short fucking crushed
Talking
it.
Too Short when he was merely a whisper.
And then, you know, Wiz Khalifa comes out, and that's when they really kick on the video screens and the production and shit, right? So it's like, this is when the show really pops off. So, and his fucking videos and shit, I'm a huge fan of, like, the show production of concerts and stuff, and the visuals and shit, which is, like, literally 90% of the show is the visuals and shit. And then they're just a DJ just playing the song, basically, was what the show is. But fucking killer, man. Just way more like trippy and like, you know, just tons of, like you're saying, like it's all mushrooms and shit and like super psychedelic and shit, which I wasn't really expecting. And then Snoop's was way more what I was expecting, you know, like fucking Hollywood Snoop Dogg, you know, Grand Theft Auto style, fucking whatever, you know. But yeah,
was Seth Rogen there going?
Oh, God, I hope so. He had a some sort of Cadillac comes out.
I don't like Seth Rogen.
I don't know.
This guy, this fucking asshole, and his goop, his fucking. he sells. You ever see his? He sells these like ashtrays for like $1,000.
Seth Rogen does?
Yes.
No.
Yes, he does.
Well played, dude. If you can sell $1,000 ashtray, more power to you. Throw it down Seth Rogen.
It's
dominant
like,
ashtrays.
Yeah.
You a Seth Rogen hater? He's hating this guy. You
not a fan of Seth Rogen. No.
Personally or comedian-wise? Like, don't dig the flicks or just think he's a
I liked him in Freaks and Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks was a great show.
That was like the fucking early shit, right?
I mean, he's a great actor. I'm not trying to say he's not. Just as a person, I don't like him. The dude drives me crazy. Right. I don't like the laugh. The
yeah.
You know, the gatekeeping he always does. I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't really know anything about him.
I wasn't put on this earth to fucking be excited about every person. Right. No one needs to be excited about me.
I'm excited about Snoop Dogg, dude.
I can tell you a story about the only rap concert I ever went to.
Yeah, who'd you see?
So last minute, at the Deltaplex, which when I saw Perfect Circle, the lead singer, I forget his name, the Tool guy.
Maynard?
Yeah, Maynard. He's like, everyone thanks for coming to this fucking barn. And I was like, I grew up on a farm, man. Now I'm seeing Tool in a barn. And, so.
Many shows. I was at that show for sure.
Yeah, so I went to Deltaplex last minute, probably the first or second year I moved to Muskegon. I grew up in Southwest Michigan in Hartford, down by South Haven. I moved to Muskegon to go to Baker College. Didn't really know anybody here. Some friends. We were living in Glen Oaks at the time, going to college. And someone's like, hey, I got ICP tickets. And I'm like, hey. I listened to ICP when I was in 5th grade. I got a little too into them. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. I'll go.
What year was this?
Oh, God, probably 2003, 2004. Okay. Anyways, we go Deltaplex, and I can't remember. 3 6 Mafia opened. Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then Bone Thugs and Harmony opened for ICP, and Bone Thugs kicked off, and there was a circle pit.
Yeah.
I got 30-foot circle pit, and I was like, I'm not going in that. I've never seen a pit that big in my life, because growing up I never really went to concerts till I became like 19, 20. Like, I never did it.
Son,
I never picked up a guitar till I was like 19.
There ain't like a Bone Thugs.
I never was a part of that. But my friend Spencer went into the Bone Thugs pit and got all fucked up, got his glasses ruined, and got the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
And we had to go get him and bring him back to just up on the lip of the seats where we were sitting. ICP came out, Violent J came out. When the second they came out, he came out, he's like, and drop kicked a 3-liter of Diet Fago root beer.
Yo,
all that
and then
even root beer.
They brought out 50-gallon drums of Diet Fago root beer and threw it on the front of the crowd. And then another circle pit started of juggalos, and all these fat white people took their fucking shirts off and their man titties and their painted faces and started slamming their jelly bodies into each other at a hyper rate till they started turning from beige to pink. And I'm watching this, and as I'm watching this, going, what the hell is going on? A 3-liter of Faygo Diet Root Beer skyrocketing towards me. I look up just in time to see it hit my friend Spencer in the face, who already had his glasses broken.
Hold on, dude.
He already had his glasses broken in the pit.
My
Bone Thugs Harmony mosh pit.
What the fuck?
And his glasses got hit again in the face with a 3-liter of Diet Faygo root beer, and it hit him in the face, and he's like, ah!
ICP shows are sounding more and more like a Widowmaker.
Dude,
ain't nobody coming out of that
I've
shit
told this
unscathed.
story like 10 times on this podcast. That's literally what happened to me. Is I got hit in the face with a fucking and it was root beer. I remembered
Diet
exactly.
Faygo root beer?
I can't say if it was diet because it was dark. They whipped.
I'll never forget this.
And it fucking came like this at me, and the lights cut out at the end of the song, and it hit me right in the eye. I've told this story like 10 times. I've told it so many times I don't even want to tell the whole thing again.
Wait, was that the Deltaplex?
And it was at the Deltaplex.
Holy shit, we were both there.
But hold on, I'm fairly sure it was like 3 years earlier. It was like 1998.
No, because I had already moved to Muskegon.
Dude, they played I know. I'm saying they played
For
the
you.
Multiplex multiple times.
all right.
Yeah, I'm saying
They
the show,
would, right?
Because I was 13 years old, and so it would have been. It was like 98, 99, something like that.
Oh no, I was
Yeah,
like 20.
and
19.
Andy Englot. It was me and Englot went. So what I'm saying is, this is like parallel universe shit because this all happened to me like 3 years earlier, like the exact same thing.
Do you think that maybe Violent J is purposely hitting people with 3 liters?
It's not just a clever name.
This
dude.
is this
Violent
is more
Jade
than
is doing
coincidence.
damage, baby.
Wait, he's actually violent?
Holy shit! I think we just cracked a whole fucking thing wide open right here, man.
Going to an ICP show at 13 is a pretty bold move.
It was huge.
Just a tidal wave of juggalos.
My
and
dad let us
Faygo,
go.
Getting blasted in the face by shit.
People were so I know it wasn't the same show because the openers were a little different. Twisted opened that show.
Oh,
and shit.
Twisted was like the diet.
That's way more juggalo, you know. Yeah,
they were the rap band that sucked off.
yeah.
Juggalos.
Well, they were all part of that same label. I think it was even the dude's brother-in-law or something.
Psychopathic Records.
Yes,
Get your ass kicked.
You ever catch the occasional Psychopathic Records tattoo when you're out and about in the wild?
Hey, one of my friends.
That's a diehard
I see
juggalo
people
right
wearing
there,
the fucking
son.
Hatchet Man fucking thing.
We
and
need
shit
to
still,
go to a
dude.
gathering of the Juggalos.
Dude, I want to go. I want to go to the gathering of
I
the
went like
Juggalos
10
once in my
years ago
life.
when it
It's
was
gotta be.
fucking bigger.
You
Now
dig
it's
or
lame.
There are
want it.
videos on YouTube of it. Don't watch it because it looks like people of Walmart.
Oh yeah.
All right, imagine if
It's
people
the
of Walmart,
gathering
but
of the
everyone's
Juggalos.
drunk, everyone's got their face painted, and everyone has their shirt off.
Yeah, we're not
That's
talking
what
about
it
a lot
is.
of members of the 3-6 Club at the gathering of the Juggalos.
Triple
to be sure.
sixes,
Triple
yeah.
six. We're not talking too many 666s out there, bro.
I would have went like 10 years ago when it was like way bigger. Now I think it's way gone downhill from
Yeah,
my understanding.
it's probably less violent, Jay.
Indeed.
This guy's so fuking old school Juggalo. It's just like, no, son,
Bro.
that shit ain't for me.
Yeah,
no
bro.
more.
They
It
fucking
ain't like it used to be.
Did you see that motherfucker on Tom Segura's podcast that did the Juggalo? He tattooed Juggalo paint on his face. He's got it's can't
No,
you know,
I
it's
know
a
all
tattoo,
about
nice,
that.
okay.
dude.
Yeah. And like Tom Segura's like he's like the actual guys just use face paint, dude. He's it ruined my life. And like yeah, dude. Yeah. Tattooing the Juggalo paint on your face is probably not a smart move.
That's a tough look in a job interview for
and
sure.
it's Shaggy Two Dope on the show.
Yeah.
And so Two Dope
Shaggy
is there
Two Dope?
in full fucking face paint, just going, "This motherfucker's a fucking idiot, man." Just like he's going, "Oh no, you some kind of Violent J rip off your entire life, bitch." He's
Yeah, that's a
into
tough
this
look
guy,
when
dude.
you're 80 years old. It's like, yeah, I made some questionable decisions to be sure.
I will say the best live band performance I've seen in the last maybe decade
ICP.
was
Clearly
was it Pitchfork Music Festival in Chicago last summer, and I saw The Armed perform.
I don't know who
I have
that
no
is,
idea.
man.
The Armed is a punk rock collective out of Detroit, Michigan.
Okay,
And I'm obsessed with them.
really?
I'm gonna go watch them play in Detroit.
Do they wear Juggalo paint?
When I saw them play at Pitchfork, the three chick backup singers who were all dressed in scantily clad clothes, they all had three girls. They all had Juggalo face paint.
Yes.
And they're in the
Well
back
played.
just
Well played.
One of them does screaming, one does singing, and yeah, they were dancing around the whole time. and I've never been more aroused in my life. It literally hit a 13-year-old Brian, saw 3 girls in Juggalo paint, dancing, singing, screaming to experimental punk rock. And I said, oh my God, there is a God. There's a reason to live. And it pumped my heart full of blood in a way that hasn't been in
Not
years.
just your heart.
Yeah, multiple organs just engorged.
But they're amazing. I get to watch. I'm gonna go watch them in Detroit August 3rd. So just next weekend.
Yeah.
They're opening up for Phantogram and Queens of the Stone Age.
Oh, okay. Well,
At the Michigan
I know both
Amphitheater.
those bands. So.
Dude, I've been on a Queens obsession lately, but The Armed is amazing.
All right,
I watched
cool.
them play. Girls had Juggalo face paint. I'll show you a
Shout
picture.
out to the
I'll show you a
Armed.
picture
We got to get
later.
them up on the pod. They're out of Detroit, huh?
Right.
Oh, they're amazing. Yeah, I could go on forever, but they have this whole thing where there's this Dan Green guy that started the band or didn't start the band.
He
And
didn't
then
start the band, dude.
you
Violent
don't
J
know
started that
all the people on the album cover aren't in the band. And then when you watch them play, the lead singer stands in the back in the dark, and then the guitarist fakes like he's singing, and then the lead singer will jump in the crowd and sing, and then the guitarist will jump in the crowd, and then he's singing, and you don't know who the lead singer is. And there's all this crazy, weird stuff where they're trying to hide who they are, what's going on, who's in the band. They change their names. They're literally lie to everyone all the time. And it's this whole phenomenon where people can't even figure out who's actually in the fucking Armed.
Yeah, it's cooler when Ghosted.
And who runs the Armed, and who the manager is, and who wrote the song. Nobody knows what's going on.
I think it'd be a funner name if it was called The Arm. Just The Arm.
The Hand.
The Hand. Is there a band called The Hand? Because if there's not, we're starting to
I mean,
grow.
there's an album called The Mechanical Hand that I'm obsessed with.
Okay.
It's by Horse the Band.
I know Horse the Band.
Horse the Band. The
Yeah,
Mechanical
I
Hand.
mean, I don't know like all the shit.
Go eat your eggs.
All right, we're starting a punk rock band called The Hand immediately. There's got to be a band called
It's like
The Hand.
Michigan. It's the
The
Hand.
Hand the Band. The
Yeah, it's
band,
The band. Hand the band.
The band, the hand.
That one's
Which
off
hand?
the
The
table
band.
for sure, dude.
The band hand.
All right, fuckers. Let's fucking wrap it up. I can't take any more. It's good seeing you, Brian. We're going to see each other tomorrow probably too, huh?
Hey, I've got some heavy love in me.
Heavy. We're going to rock this guitar a little bit here.
I mean, I want to see what it sounds like. See if I can break some amps. That's always a good thing.
We'll have to play it on a little bit on the quiet side. A little bit of a bitch fucking move here, but
Well, it's I will say it's been very great. There's some topics I didn't get to. I think we need to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
At some
bro.
point, we need to talk about my grandfather, Verlin Kruger.
Yes, you were telling us a little bit about
A
that.
Michigan
Let's do
kayaking
a,
legend.
story,
He's the
yeah.
Michael Jordan of Whitewater sports.
let's do a whole podcast about him.
Oh, dude!
later.
Let me know. We're doing a fundraising thing and everything. So
Nice. So what's his name? People can look him up.
Verlin Kruger.
Yeah,
he's the
yeah.
Michael Jordan of Whitewater sports.
Hell yeah.
Lansing, Michigan.
We'll
the
get Bob
OG.
Aqueduct on
amazing.
too.
Indeed.
He kayaked from the tip of Quebec all the way down to the southern point of South America.
Jesus
He
Christ.
kayaked across the Mississippi, across the Grand Canyon, across every major American riverway in one go.
Damn.
The stories are endless, and it is amazing.
We'll do a whole
Wild,
fucking
man.
feature on him. All right, buddy. Love you, man. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, good chat.
Thank you. Thank you.